Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. I am your host, Brad Ellis. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, as always, Michael Damiani.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
What's up,
and
dude?
we got the legend back in the studio,
Feels
Brandon
good.
Jones.
Feels good to have both of you at this desk, but especially to have you in the,
the
captain's
seat?
chair,
Yeah.
dude.
It's a little weird.
Let's jump straight to Lightspeed, man. I am ready
It is, man.
to go.
And for our listeners, iconic Jones.
The iconic
accessory.
Jones.
The last thing I grabbed when I went out the door, it's like, what did I used to pack?
Yeah.
What did the backpack used to be? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and also Don is in the studio. This is newer.
Hello.
Oh, we do get the cam. We do get the cam
I've
switch for Don.
infiltrated.
Yeah, Don's going to be chilling for Frame Trap from now on. Just hanging out.
Yeah, the behind the scenes man
Yeah,
back there.
love having
Dawn.
that Don energy around. Feels good.
Shout outs to Dawn for the super fast stray edit for that stray
Dude,
review.
Don is a madman.
Nice.
It's a good review, Damiani. So happy that game is good. I was just saying before we started recording, out of every game this year, that was the one I was most nervous for in terms of highest hopes that I didn't want to be disappointed. Man, am I glad that came through.
There was a lot of heart in that review. There was a lot. It was a very wholesome Damiani review.
I
Most of them
love
are wholesome. I think that was the one of the wholesomest. Perfection was one of the words. I was like, how do I read that?
Very good.
I've never been challenged in that way to read a word like perfection.
Great pun.
Yeah, I wanted to keep. Had to keep it short. I had like much longer version planned.
Sure.
Oh, for the
But I was
review?
like, yeah. This,
How many words was it?
Well, it was only a 6-minute review, so
Okay,
in the
so it's like
end,
800?
But yeah, I
900.
wanted to talk more about cats just in general in a lot of parts. And I
The
was
blood
like,
make cuts?
Yeah.
You make cat cuts?
Well, no, they weren't even in there. I made the cuts because I knew blood would make the
Oh,
cut.
yeah.
I'm actually surprised he let my opening paragraph stay pretty much as is.
Isn't that
Because one of the
weird? Yeah.
first comments is like, is Damiani reviewing cats in the first
Yeah,
paragraph?
it's like, well, you got to know. I mean, if you're not that familiar with cats, we need to establish why they're great.
Jones,
Yes.
how are you enjoying retirement?
It's nice. It really brings in. Speaking of, to set the scene, I am, taking care of a 3-year-old,
Right.
and I'm also writing a book. I'm also
Oh, so you're
doing some
very
writing.
busy.
So I've been trying to expand my horizons in that way as much as possible, but it totally brings into focus like what am I going to play and why? Like what, the game like. The games, I doubled down on them. I played one of them like this morning just to refresh myself because I'm like, I do need to prepare for Frame Trap. But it is weird playing games, playing Fortnite or Final Fantasy 14 or stuff where I'm just like, this just rebooted Spider-Man. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
never played the PlayStation 5 version. And it's like, what compels me to these things? What brings me, and what bounces me off? Like some stuff I was like, like Lego Batman. I like the original. Like I kind of on a Lego kick. I'm like, kind of want to replay that one. And just like, I booted it up and they played the Elfman theme, and I'm like, oh wait, I think this entire game is nothing but the '89 Elfman theme, and I remember that turning me off. Nope, and just like dumped it.
Did you play Skywalker Saga?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
I really like that.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna play more than I did. It's always kind of like a test when you get to that.
How many movies did you
when
make
you finish the campaign? Oh, I did the whole.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
you did the whole-
all the way
okay.
through. In a weird way, I mean, we could spend the
Please.
entire episode talking
This is
about
Frame
that,
Trap.
but. In a weird way, by the time I got to like, Last Jedi and Force Awakens, like I was misty because it like you got to see these characters through the whole thing.
Right.
And like especially the episode 3 to 4 jump is so bizarre. Like there's just no way to really smooth that over. It's such a these are different decades, these are different
different
styles
feeling,
and directors.
for sure.
And so well, it's the same director, but and so that was to really ease that transition through them was like surprisingly effective. Like I really got wrapped up in it.
Yeah, I mean, even from a visual standpoint, the jump from the prequels to the classic trilogy is like insane. You go from CGI to like
It's
a dumpy little set.
Yeah, it's cute to see the moments in episodes 1, 2, and 3 where they were like, no, the tech is still kind of coming along.
those
You're like,
Gungans.
no, this is gorgeous. Come on now, this is clearly 20 years of
those are the
effects
those are the
enhancement.
best. Kind of like Star Wars. Sorry to go to the other side of,
Right.
of sci-fi, but when they did the 2009 reboot, like
Star Trek?
the Star Trek,
Star Trek.
sorry, when they did the reboot, it's like, how are they going to make that tech? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's a Yeah, they can do what they
Yeah.
want. No papers printing and being brought to the capital.
Yeah, I like there's like 6 different versions of Klingons. It's like, what did Klingons look like? I don't know.
man,
there's a lot of different
The
interpretations.
gag with that, man. They just running gag with Klingons.
I could never get into Star Trek. I think it was just so, when I looked at everything in that show, it just looked lame to me. Like, I looked
okay.
at their outfits and stuff.
Okay.
Like, you think of like a stormtrooper or something, looks sick, okay?
Right.
And you get some jabroni and like a red shirt and slacks.
Well, they're supposed to look
You're like, what is this?
Navy crew,
Look at their guns, man. It was like a
jabroni?
remote.
Because they're peacekeeping. They're not supposed to be like a military thing.
I know
It's
that.
like-
I know it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, while it might not always be flashy, Star Wars and Star Wars is flashy. What Star Trek has got a decent amount of things right about predicting the future. So I mean, I feel
As
like
much as Kojima?
one was trying to be a little bit more like slow and steady sci-fi,
Yeah,
with a little
absolutely.
bit rooted. Where Star Wars is like
Star Wars is
this
much more
this
mainstream.
this is
Star Trek to me was always for like a much more nerdy crowd, I guess. Not in
Yeah,
a bad way, but
for
I'd
sure.
say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars is the
Science
cool
nerds
thing.
for sure.
Star
Yeah.
Wars is the cool thing.
I like Star
shade,
Trek,
though.
but not as much as I like Brad not liking Star Trek.
I just can't get into it.
I
man.
love it. No,
dream of,
I
like,
totally get
My
it.
parents liked it when I was growing
Yeah.
up. They'd watch Next Generation. Like,
Okay.
I will admit, Captain Jean-Luc Picard is tight.
Yeah, he's pretty
He's
sweet.
sick.
Because I was about to ask you,
He's
like,
cool.
Do you dream of like
I like him.
Han Solo walking on the deck of the Enterprise, just like going up to like Captain Kirk or something like, who are you?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, Han Solo is
and Han
just
would be
Harrison
great.
Ford in real life, and it'd just be like, why am I here? These bunch of nerds. Kind of thing.
You know,
I
like,
didn't
people
want
always say like Kirk was the edgy,
Yeah.
like kind of like adventurous one. It's like, meet Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Bonus, Jones, you've been playing Fortnite, the Battle
Yeah.
Royale for the first time, or the Battle Pass you got
Pass,
into.
right.
Because if you did not know, Indiana Jones is now in the Battle Pass.
So this season, which ends at the end of August. I think.
Now, there are some quests that
Yeah.
you've done.
Uh-huh.
What did you think about some of them? There is one cool quest, I would say, that's really cool.
There was one that was super tough because it sucks because I didn't realize like the full extent of it. You like do the like almost kind of like in reverse. You run through to the idol and you get the idol. And I bet like when the season started before Indy, people were like, "Oh, Indy's thing is clearly going to be here." And in that room, there's like another secret room.
Yes.
And when they said secret room in the description, I thought it was the room with the idol in it. And so I'm like, yeah, I did it. And then I finished the match, and they're like, no, you didn't do it. And I was like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
try again. And then did the same dumb thing again and didn't get it. And then like had to leave that morning or go do something. And then came back later in the day and just couldn't get in there. Like every time I would go to try to do the puzzle, I would get wasted.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. Kind of reminded me of like achievements in World of Warcraft, where they'll have a PvP achievement, and you're just like, all I want is this achievement, man. Like, please.
Yeah.
But it's fun if you get your friends to like all kind of work together.
I
and
did
help
do
you
it with
that.
Hubert. Damiani, let me explain this to you. So on the map in Fortnite, there's like a ruins kind of area.
Okay.
And in like underground, there was this puzzle you have to do with, there's like 4 different altars. You have to find these things around the map to see what color they are and turn them to the color.
Changes every match.
okay.
Unlocks opens the gate, plays some sick like Indiana Jones music going. When you're walking in there, Damiani, there's like a narrow hallway, okay, dude? There is floor pressure plates. If you step on them, darts out of the wall.
But you can dodge them. But
Yeah.
you're it's a PvP match.
Yeah.
So you're just like, if you're in the hallway and you're like, oh, I made it. Like all it's going to take
Yeah.
is some guy to come around and snipe you and then run in and
There's the
grab
idol,
all the
dude.
stuff.
You take the idol, you like replace it. Things are going crazy, start shaking, music's playing, and if you start running out, the boulder dude comes in. Ran over Huber's, awesome. Took him out.
Yeah, one shot.
That was fun.
So if you have full health, you can just run through and take all the hits with all the darts flying. But there was one time where like I finally cleared. I got the door open and cleared everybody, and I had like no health. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it to this hallway, so I'm like looking for health, and somebody takes me out. And it was funny because I'm trying to do this the first day it comes out. It's just indies everywhere.
Yeah, everyone's
and so
going
you go
crazy.
into this temple, and it's just clones of indie all massacring each other. So it was a little stress, of like,
Yeah, of
oh,
course.
please, I want to get this.
Of course.
And I was like, as long as I just got indie, this unlocked the emote with the hat off
hat,
and dusts
nice.
it,
Good
puts it back
stuff,
on.
yeah.
And then
No whippy
and it was
mode,
also for the Temple of Doom
Oh my
costume.
God,
Like,
the
once
Temple of Doom
Once I
outfit.
did them all.
Yes.
So I'm like, am I going to torture myself to do this?
well, you saw Vader's level 100, right?
Yeah.
He's the level 100 guy.
And then when it happens, it's the same thing with PvP. Like when you pull it off finally, it's like, oh, that was rad.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other ones were really clever. Like you got to use a pistol for a certain amount of damage.
Okay.
Do a bunch of damage to people from a car, like on
Yeah.
top of a car or in a
Indiana
car.
Jones
I'm like,
themed
okay, that's
kinda
fun.
stuff.
Like, swing from a tree a couple times.
Dude,
like-
the glider is the raft from Temple of Doom. It's so cool.
And like the animation, their animation
good.
is so good for all their emotes. He deflates it and it's underneath them, and then he like bounces
Yeah,
off of it and grabs
it's
the
super
side
cool.
and swings around.
Okay, that's-
It's really kind of clumsy and perfect, and like the way you jump in that game when you're sprinting
Yeah.
is very indie. Like, they got me. It was the
Yeah,
first time I've ever spent money on that game because I knew it when I saw him.
Yeah.
Because some of them are like Batman holding a machine gun is like there's just some like
Indiana Jones shoots, dude.
even like Captain America, but like they have a skin that makes everything kind of old, rusty, and brown, and like so just even like the more high tech weapons. I just love being indie in that game because there's something if you try to be like a total. If I'm like Deadpool, and I like can't even make it like past the top 50. You know, if you're like a super badass character and you just get like annihilated right away.
Yeah.
But like if I get like the drop on me as indie, I don't know. It just kind of fit like seeing indie. Ugh.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't feel too bad.
Damiani, just a little bonus also.
Oh, boy.
Leaks for Fortnite. You ready for this one?
Let's get the leaks out of the way.
Ready for this one?
What we
Speaking
got?
of things that will be bizarre and jarring.
A cat?
No.
Oh man.
Better. Dragon Ball.
Finally?
Yes.
It's happening?
Yes.
Wow.
Dude.
I think Goku, Vegeta, and I think Beerus are one of them. Some of the skins and maybe one other character. I think there's like the capsule court, and I think there's like, going to be a Kamehameha item pickup or something.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
There's
Okay,
got to
here we go.
be not only like a Saiyan skin, but a Saiyan emote.
No, I think there's a power up one. Yeah,
yeah.
I think there's gonna be one where you like
course.
can actually turn
Just
Super
dudes in a
Saiyan.
row. All
Yeah, oh, it's gonna be so sick, dude.
Oh man. I wish there was a way to like incorporate like giving your spirit energy to like a single player.
Oh my God, a spirit bomb?
The player becomes Goku, and then the objective is like people just gonna collect spirit energy.
Make it a mode.
So you can drop a spirit bomb
make it a
and
mode.
and on the other side.
Make it a mode.
Oh man.
Yeah, 50v50.
Yeah. Yeah.
So today, Stray came out officially now for us.
Yep.
Damiani, you reviewed it for us.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about this kitty cat game.
It is fun.
Yes.
Lovable. It is a game where clearly the people who made this. So I don't know if you know this. I didn't really know it until like I had finished a review and started seeing on social media like the marketing ramp up for the game. But the main cat is based off the development
did
to be
see
a Blue
this.
12, which
Yeah.
is also the name of your companion B12 in the game.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't catch it till the end. I was like, oh yeah, Blue 12. Oh, I was like, why is it called B12? They adopted a stray cat named Murtaugh that is what they
It is the
based
cat,
the cat
essentially.
on. Yeah, and so this game, it's basically a post-apocalyptic world where something happened on the surface. It's not entirely clear what happened, but humanity had to go underground into fallout shelter cities, like giant cities that are like just encapsulated by concrete. And you start on the surface with your little pack of cats, and like you're just like having a lovable time, just like curling up together. Meow. They have a meow button.
Were you in heaven at this point?
Yeah,
when you're
just
playing?
like I was
Did
like,
you
is
take
it-
many screenshots on your PlayStation?
So there is no photo mode, which is like
well, I meant the
lack.
built-in one.
But I was capturing, so
Okay.
I already have
Oh, so you
capture,
got
so I can relive
hard
those,
raw footage.
I can relive these moments. And I'm
60
like, this is gonna be
screenshots a
great.
second, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and first concern in question was about like the platforming because it's not precision based, as in like you don't have to like manually aim. There's just prompts.
Okay.
And then your cat will automatically complete the jumps. There's no chance of failing a jump. You can technically turn off the prompts if you want to try and figure out a little bit more where you can like have less guidance, but there's no really like skill involved in the platforming. It's more about figuring out paths about where to go. It's kind of like the half of the Mirror's Edge equation where it's like there's skill involved in Mirror's Edge, but also part of the fun of Mirror's Edge is like where the heck am I going and stuff, and it's like not so much a race as it is exploration based. And I kind of like that. It's like a very slow pace, not very hectic game. And there's just so many things to do in the world as a cat in terms of like, here's a little puddle, go up to it, lap up some water, just drink it. A lot of things to scratch in this game. Lots of things to scratch this game. Every single room you go into, that's things. Walk up on the counter, knock everything over. Just like, there's a keyboard at one point where you walk over it and it actually gets all of your clicks on it. And it's just lots of places. There's nice places to curl up and like sleep. And like the camera does this thing where it just zooms out and the controller vibrates with a purring noise as you just zoom out, and it just like stays like that.
This is a Damiani game.
And it's like really good. So yeah, the cat part of it's really good.
Well, why don't you tell me like what playing this game is actually like?
So it's more of like a adventure game, like almost like a little bit of a. I've seen people throw around the word detective game.
Okay.
Because you're trying to figure out how to interact with these NPCs and complete quests for them in order to advance. So it starts off very linear. Once you get into like the city below, it's more about like getting used to the controls, and then you get to your first hub cities. There's these like, I don't want to say how many, but there are hub cities where it becomes a little bit more open, like alleyways. You can go up, climb up all these like ledges and stuff to get up to the rooftops. There's lots of rooms to go into in these buildings, but there are no humans. There are all these robots who are basically doing the activities that their humans did before them, and you don't know why, but they're now gone. And then you find out that there are these like little alien-looking creatures that are called Zerks, who basically ran amok underground and started, I guess, killing the humans, but eventually they evolved and found a way to also eat metal, so the robots fear them now, so they live in a safe zone, isolated from the outside. Like, when you first come in, it's like in the trailer, they said they like hit the alarms, the red alert goes off, and you're like, oh, why? Because you're just a cat? They think you're a Zerk, but then when they see up close, like, you're not one of them. Okay, well, as long as you don't eat us, you're welcome to stay. So it's about figuring out where to go, getting items, like using your cat abilities to like kind of like knock over books. Like, one thing is knocking over a bunch of books in a library to reveal a safe. And it's like, oh, okay, well, now how do I open this safe? Like, maybe you go over here and you like tear up a poster, and behind it was a code on a wall. And it's like, okay, there's the code to go use this. And it's just a bunch of that, like finding an item, revealing a code, something simple, and then you get an item, you bring it back to the NPC, and you get more of their story. And it's a very story-driven game. Your mileage may vary based on how much you like these characters and you like this world. And I think it's a pretty good world. Cyberpunk dystopian world where robots, like, they're just emulating humans, and they do have like emotions. They fear. Like, they're scared of dying. One of the main characters you come across early, his quest line is his father left. So he's like in the bar drinking himself, into a stupor because he just doesn't want to deal with the pain of not having his father. And one of your quest lines is like, you find out maybe he's alive and maybe you can find a way to bring him back. And like, maybe he went on he was a scientist and maybe he went out to test something, didn't work out, and now he's like stuck out there, but he's still around maybe. So stuff like that. And like visually, like the first area was pretty impressive. Like, it's a rundown slums area. But you go to some, like, they're in the trailer. There's some really cool, like, there's like a place that looks literally like out of like, Blade Runner later on, like all the neon lights and everything. But there are some really like alien, dark looking, like scary areas where like the monsters have run amok. It's like all these like webs and like sticky things. It's all like purple haze and everything, or pink haze all around. And like, that's the thing. When you're out in the open, in the wild areas, these monsters... Wild areas. Outside the safe zone. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's not like open world.
Like, whoa!
But like, it's not safe anymore.
Okay.
And so every so often you'll come across them. It's either a chase sequence where you have to get to a destination without being caught by them. Those are probably the roughest segments of the game because it's trial and error. They do have cues that if you pay attention, that make it easy to figure out where to go. But like in the heat, you might miss some of those. But at the same time, the AI of the enemies, like they kind of like lunge at you. It's like this ragdoll physic, and you can't tell if they're gonna hit you or not. I mean, maybe that's part of it. But sometimes I'm like, oh, they're over here. I'm way on the right side, and then they like leap at me, and all of them like gang up on me. And like if they get too many on you, you're done. Like you have to retry, and it's like, oh, okay, well, why did that happen? So it's a little like not like it used a little bit more time in like the oven, I think. But the other parts, the puzzle-based ones, where it's like use your meows to draw them over, and you're gonna jump over a fence, and now they can't reach you, so you can advance, or you got to push this trash can that's on its side and to reach a ledge, but like they're all on that side, so you got to like find ways to like lure them out. Or be stealthy at a later segment. Like, there are these sentinel drones that are out to...
MGS stuff?
Yeah. Cardboard boxes. You hop in and out of cardboard boxes. It is a thing.
So, you're a kitty in this game. Do you have any ways to defend yourself, maybe? Or engage in something?
The cats obviously have defense mechanisms. They don't employ that. So, two things I want to say for people, because I didn't say it in the review, but I know people are like me who are sensitive. There's like one moment early on in the game where something happens where the cat gets separated. They're obviously okay afterward, but the scene of it happening might be upsetting to some people. I really wish there was an option, because you can't defend yourself. So the things ganging up on you, it kind of like they're just like kind of like blobbing around you. You'd like, yeah, it would have been nice. Maybe there's like a sudden fade to black instead of like they show like something happening. Nothing graphic. No graphic.
I was like,
no graphic.
Wow.
At least they were tasteful in that like the cat just falls over. And that's it. Like and it says retry. But the later one with the Sentinels, like the first time something happened, I was like, okay, I wasn't really prepared for that. It's not graphic either, but it's a little bit more violent when it happens. So just being transparent, like cat can get harmed, and for people who don't like that, it might be a little upsetting. It would have been nice to have like maybe just like like there's an option that says like not like deathless, but like right before like the screen fades starts
black,
getting
like
it starts getting redder and redder. Maybe it just goes black, and like you don't have to see the death
naive angel
animation.
mode, kind of like Bayonetta.
Something like that.
Or kind of all dogs go to heaven. It just it pops out with wings and like plays guitar.
Yeah, but I know people who like are cat enthusiasts, cat parents will want to know something about that. Sure. And I also like some people may not want to know the end, but like obviously like.
Don't spoil it, dude.
Obviously,
don't spoil
good
it.
ending.
Okay.
I'll say it's a worthwhile ending to get through. Very good ending.
Okay. Playing this, what did you feel that maybe you wish it had, or something that was lacking? Maybe.
I think it would have been nice if they went a little bit further with like puzzle types, because it was either like knocking stuff over or pushing something like a Zelda block puzzle type stuff. There were hints early on, like in the review, there's a shot of picking up like a pail and dropping into a fan to stop it. I was like, oh, or knocking over a paint can to break a window. Okay. There really isn't anything else like that later on.
Okay.
Everything it's pretty straightforward. It's either interact with an NPC or it's traversal stuff, like or the same things you're seeing, like pushing a barrel or knocking things over to clear a path to see something. I think there was like more potential there. Like there are hints, like walking over the keyboard. I was like, oh, do I have to like maybe walk over it a certain way? I was like, oh no, you just keep hitting it till it advances.
Is there a trophy for the keyboard if you play a song on it?
No, so this computer keyboard, no. There is a piano keyboard you walk across. There was no trophy for that either. There are some good trophies though.
Okay.
For example, hitting the meow button a lot might give you a trophy.
Great, yeah, that's
he puts his arms out.
Yeah, if he did keyboard K, yeah.
I didn't mind the how the platforming worked. I actually really enjoyed that. I think like more this leaning heavier into the puzzle. Like I would have just removed the chase. Personally, the chase sequences didn't really do anything for me. The puzzle like encounters with the enemies would have been nice. And the stealth at the end is like a little too straightforward. It's like I get why, but I thought they're gonna. It's a lot of like just hiding in the time it right, run to the cardboard box or run to the corner, stop. I'm like, I thought they were gonna use like more like I can get up here and go around. Like it doesn't really utilize that as much. Game,
you expect that.
It's pretty straightforward.
Jones, you were a cat dad, I believe, also, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this game? Are you into this?
Oh, not only am I into this, Amanda is into this.
Yes.
It's so. One of the things I love about their marketing is I think a lot of people. Especially when you're like really trying to innovate, just constantly, like the older, the video games get, you always want to try to make something new. So when people generalize it, when they're like, oh, it's that vampire, the zombie game or whatever, and like, this is the cat game.
This is the cat game.
And they really were like, yes, it is.
Yep.
This is the cat game. Because like there might be competition out there. There might be other people, obviously, with cats as protagonists. But like, this is really one that embraces... Like when I see people, sharing stuff on social media, it's not the chase sequences, it's not how cool the enemies look, or even like a lot of the story-based stuff. It's like, it jumps between the pillows. It's like really just this kind of pure adoration of looking at a cat, being a cat, and so I'm looking forward to it. And Amanda, because we got the PS5 is snug back in the corner of my office, but for this one I have to break it out into the living room.
The robot language sounds like it's lifted from Animal Crossing. They sound like Animal Crossing.
I was going to say, so they don't, so there's no voice acting? It's all...
No, it's all like
feels
Animal
kind of
Crossing
desolate.
style.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there's a guy who plays a guitar. I think they literally tried to make it sound like KK Slider. Like,
really? That's
the voice.
funny.
I was like, this might be a little too on the head. But.
Don't let Nintendo see that.
Yeah, don't let Nintendo see that.
Donnie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Are you into this? Are you going to play this?
I'm very into it. I'm 100% going to play it. But from the very first time I saw this, the footage of it, was charmed, completely charmed. And I was just worried, Damiani, when they were first showing the footage of the game, that it would be too reliant on the robot, that you'd leave the cat a lot for some of the stuff. But it really seems like you stick with it the whole entire time.
No.
And I love that it also sounds like it does open up a little as well in some of the areas. Like there's a lot of branching paths, places to explore, and it's not like so linear of a path you're constantly on.
Yeah, like you gather items and like you can show them to your robot to B12, and he might give you like some clues, like hints on where you should maybe focus on. So they're kind of like a person, like a little bit of a guide like that if you need help. Like they have an ability to like shine a spotlight in dark areas. Ooh. Okay, one small caveat, like I say, like playing through the eyes or perspective of a cat. Not accurate at all. It's definitely presented through a human perspective. Okay. Because like you go into dark spots. You can't see crap. I'm like, wait a second.
I played The Witcher. I remember this.
Yeah, first time I got to like a dark sewer part, I'm like, no, the cat would like. Why do I need to turn on? Like, I mean, it's for the human player, but I was like, no cat vision. I was like, that would have been kind of cool, but. Yeah, like the robot companion's like there and like chats with you. Like one of the good things about it, it's lost its memory. And so one of the extracurricular things you can do is by going off and exploring, even during the linear parts, not during action sequences, but during linear parts as well, there are these little objects you can interact with that trigger memories in B12, and you learn a little bit more about their past as well as like the world. Because like what happened with this world? Yeah, what happened on the surface that caused all the humans to go underground, and like what happened to the humans, and like why are the robots still here? Why are they like, and like there's apparently like a societal hierarchy here. Like how did this happen? So like cool.
I have an important question before we move on too quick. Damiani, so many cat behaviors included in this game. As a cat owner myself, something I hate my cats doing, but I really want to do. Vomiting, Damiani. Is there any opportunity to spit up hairballs? Is there maybe liquefied cat food?
It's very key.
Only unless there's an idle animation I didn't see, like leaving the cat alone. Yeah, the cat doesn't actually eat. Yeah, the cat doesn't eat in the game. So from what I can tell, so there's no chance to like to gorge and like vomit that up. Bummer. I didn't see any hairball nothing like that, Dawn.
Okay.
So they did not go for that aspect.
All the precious stuff only.
Yeah,
that would have been a funny little.
There's parts where like paint gets knocked over and you can walk in the paint and like put your cat paw prints all over the place and like
hairball DLC.
Yeah, but maybe Dawn. Yeah, maybe that's a DLC idea for
Fingers
sure.
Crossed.
Like they drink water, but like no eating.
Yeah,
of food.
It could like throw off these little evil alien beings. Like they don't know what it is. They don't know what to do with it. They just come by. Are scared.
Sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to playing this game. As someone who was not a cat person and half my family was allergic to cats, so no, cats were not a thing in my house. We had dogs, but I think cats are cool, and I always like seeing the movement of cats is fascinating.
Yeah, I think they got it mostly right. Maybe here and there something might look a little bit stiff because it's a video game.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's like
mocapping
a cat. It's like good luck with like even the best behaved cat. They're like trying to like mocap a cat. So like doing it eyeball. I'm guessing they did it like through this eyeballing cats animations and trying to recreate it. Very, very, very cool. Good effort. But hey, you never know. Maybe there'll be a sequel and like. They're just dogs.
I think there's going to be a sequel.
Or cats and dogs together.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, there are stray dogs. That would be sick.
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
Dude, co-op game. One player's a dog, game. One's the cat.
Okay.
You work together, solve that puzzle.
Now we got it.
Yeah. Jones, I've been hearing about this game, and I was like, why am I hearing so much about this game? This seems so random to me. This seems like a game that would just be on PC, that like people that are really into like those simulator games, like Farming Simulator, would be into this game. And it is a simulator. You've been playing PowerWash Simulator. Nice. This is published by Square Enix, I guess. I saw this. I was like, what? Please, tell me about this.
I'm like more than 50 hours into this game. Beat the campaign.
Jones. Oh, yeah. Wow.
50? Oh, yeah.
These things aren't going to clean themselves, man. They take a little bit. It takes a little
Square
bit.
Enix, baby.
There's extra special levels. There's like time trials. That's where I stopped. I'm like, once you finish a level, I'm like, I'm not eager to go back and clean that carousel a second time. But I picked it up because shout out to Blippi, who's a YouTube star. My son is obsessed with him.
Blippi.
And he's really great because he's like you imagine he's kind of got that Pee-wee energy, but like you remove all the absurdism of Pee-wee and he really is just like, hey, let's go learn about buses. And he just goes through like everything. He's just excited about everything. Like, look, it's a garbage truck. And it rides that perfect line of like, oh, this is fun, and the guy's just being a goofball, but this is also like, oh, I didn't know that part of a helicopter was called that. That's kind of cool. And he does one episode where he washes a car, and Milo became obsessed with this episode, Blippy Car Wash. This was like all he would say every time he wanted to watch TV. And so I was like, isn't there like a washing game? And I remember seeing the trailer, and I remember like, I think there's vehicles in that game. I think like you watch like a motorcycle or something. And like, I bet he would, anytime he like strolls into my office and is like, hey, what are you doing? I'll just be like, sit there, we'll watch something for 10 minutes.
Cool.
So I'm like, let me just boot it up and check it out. And I got bit hard.
Oh my God.
By this game. And when I really started to think about what this game was doing to my brain, I realized that there were some parts of my year that were difficult this year. And so it was like, you imagine just kind of washing away anything that's kind of clogging up your mind. You know what I mean? Like if you just get kind of frustrated, or you have a bad day, or you're just like, I wish I could have control over really like perfecting my environment. And I've heard, I don't know if you've ever actually used a power washer.
No, I don't think so.
I did it one time to clean my deck, and like I was like, and Amanda's like, yeah, I can. If you don't want to clean the whole deck, I can help you. And I was like, I'm loving this actually. This is really great. But I'm trying to think of like, I saw some people bringing up an equivalent, like, if you're, I don't know if you're like cleaning, you're picking up weeds in Animal Crossing. There's like a lot of things you can do in games. You're just like, oh, that's nice.
Just making something clean can be therapeutic.
But beyond that, like I'll go through the unexpected things in this game. There is a story. There's like an arc, and how the story works. There's no NPCs in the game. There's nobody that you like see or bump into, or there's no like outside of you in your suit, which you can customize, your gloves and everything. You get text messages as you go through that I think are based on the percentage of completion. So it's like you hit 15% and like one person starts talking to you. And so you'll have the person that paid you to do this thing. So like a couple of the levels are funny because somebody's like one is a bathroom in a nightclub, and this guy's like clearly like, coked out, and he's like, I got a lot of cool ideas for this club. So this one area of the club, I'm going to do this thing and add this to it. And you're just like, shh, cool, man. Like you never reply. It's just like all the incoming texts. But you have like a friend that's like obsessed with volcanoes, and like the volcano in town is doing weird things. All the cats have vanished. The mayor's cat is the first one to vanish. And in like one level, there's like a clear perimeter like for every area, but there's a lot going on like outside. And I saw like a cat just sitting on a house, like watching me. And I'm like, oh, it's a neighbor's cat. And like as the story goes on, it's like by the time it gets to the end, it's like hilariously epic in the sense of like it's like Ghostbusters. Where it's
sick.
You're locked between a battle of good and evil, cleaning up all these things, but in a very like jokey way.
Right.
But I still like every now and then it was just nice to get an update from somebody that they were like, hey, this you would queue up the next mission where somebody would be like, hey, I heard you're a good washer. I got my old RV that needs to be cleaned. So like before you finish your level, I was like, oh, I got the RV coming up. That'll be fun. And it was pretty silly. There are no NPCs, but they kind of poke fun at that, where like there was one thing where I had to clean something in a driveway, and this one couple that I was doing it for were like famous like YouTubers. They had like an Instagram, and they were like, hey, we're going to record you doing this so we can post this online. Don't worry, you won't even notice we're there. So it's like, well, yeah, because there's no like NPCs in the game. But so they're like, some of it definitely made me chuckle, but it's a kind of game where I've seen a lot of like people on social media, like I think this might be something I'm interested, but I can't tell. If you finish the first level and it doesn't like entice you at all, like don't, it's $25 on Steam. I think they do have a demo. Oh, but I got it in early access, so I can't remember how much I got it for beforehand. But when that updated, I was like, I knew the day, like July 14th. Oh, I got like 3 more levels. The end of the campaign. Here we go.
Jones, sometimes you surprise me about these games you sink like 50 hours. I remember when you told me you played Valheim for like 50 hours. I was like,
man,
what?
Yeah,
I had no idea you were even playing that.
I think I might have beaten 100 hours on that thing.
Yeah,
that
probably.
was crazy. We'll get back to Valheim if we talk about another game I was playing. But it really does scratch this like fundamental itch that if it's just not there for you, and there were like admittedly in almost every level there was a point where I was like, all right, let's clean this thing. It'd be like 99%. I'm like, come on, I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing any dirt. Come on. But
so okay, power washing.
Yes.
Do you only use the power wash? Do you use other things to clean with? Are you taking like a sponge kind of thing, scrubbing something?
You have soap you can use, which I never bothered with. It just kind of speeds up, but it's like for the speed up it would make the object I'm looking at clean quicker, but I still have to like buy the soap for the mission and like equip it and switch to that nozzle, and I'm just like I will hold the spray there for 5 more seconds. It's good.
Okay.
But no, you like upgrade and you get better guns, and then there's the only like real strategy involved in the game is like you have nozzles that like the wider nozzle just doesn't hit as hard. So if you're just literally blasting the ground underneath you, do something wide because you're right next to it. But if you're like trying to get something really far away, you can just get it to a stream and like
Can you blast something like too hard maybe? Like, is there anything you have to worry about when you're washing?
This game is all about not worrying.
Okay, that's totally cool. I was just wondering.
There's a couple of like things that move around. There's like a Ferris wheel level that actually like rotates, and so you can like stand on it and like get the under part. And there's one part that's a carousel. You keep going back to this carnival, and you do lots of like fun little carnival things. But there was one level that was a carousel, and you can turn it on and off if you want to stop rotating. But it was just kind of funny to just hold the washer out, and the carousel would just turn and clean itself. But no, the game is very rigid, and I think that's like one of like the major turnoffs. Is like you do kind of feel like you're in a world frozen in time. Like
sure.
It's just even though they do like later in the game you do aquatic stuff, and so you can kind of see more of like a water rust and like little
cool.
like crustacean-y stuff stuck on things I think the biggest thing that surprised me, there's co-op too. I never got into the co-op because you can't like matchmake, you just you actually have to like connect with a friend.
Dude, sweet.
But there's 2-player levels and 4-player levels.
4-player?
Yeah.
Wow.
You just ran out. Yeah, because this, I imagine at that point it's all about speed.
Yeah.
Of you just being like, or writing a little message.
No spoilers, but do you clean anything unusual out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So stuff to keep you surprised.
Super weird stuff, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Again, it's why I bring up Ghostbusters. Like, it does get a little
Like,
supernaturally.
Are you cleaning like anime figures or anything like that?
No. Well,
Gundams, giant Gundams.
If you see some of the later stuff, let me know if it's maybe
Okay.
I'm not watching enough anime. We'll see. But no, it was charming, and it was just strangely therapeutic to just go through
sounds
and
like it.
clean all these things. It was just only. And then, when you get near the end, it every level breaks up like every single item. When you like finish cleaning it, it like ding and like highlights, like you can see like, oh, okay, that one tire is its own thing. And so when you finish, and I'd be like 99%, I could like go down a list and be like, oh, like interior atrium column. What is that? Oh, it's that thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a lot, every now and then there's like a funny Easter egg that you actually like have to like, oh, you clean a wall and like, oh, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's like a couple that's like hiding out in the woods. And the lady keeps saying in the text messages, she's like, I know we might look like that couple that robbed that bank, but we're not that couple at all. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so it's like I clean the wall, like the plans to like rob the bank,
That's
like
cool,
on the wall,
dude.
and like I can erase those
That
too.
is cool.
Like, okay. So funny little bits like that.
Yeah, I saw it also has like something a control scheme that is for people like me who get motion sick with first person games.
Oh, really?
Like something like a fixed mode where like the camera just stays still,
and
but
you
the
just
thing is
move
what
the gun
moves. So
around.
like you just move it around. So like they're definitely doing something in that with accessibility.
Yeah, this
So-
is off topic, but I remember you played Titanfall 2 and you really liked that game. What made that game so that you could actually play it?
I think in general, like the camera movements weren't.
Like
I think
super
it's super
rapid?
sudden, like especially like the platforming stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I remember it not being like really affecting me at all. So I think it's the camera moved in expected ways. Here's the thing I found out: it's really about like motion blur, too much motion blur, and too much like shakiness, like unnatural shakiness
Yeah,
is what
right.
gets me. I feel like
Okay,
it's that.
that's why you could play like Resident Evil Village and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, like that seems to be like fine.
yeah, I think-
watching other people play because
Makes you
I
sick,
don't know
though.
where they're gonna do.
Right.
That I always
okay.
get sick
Got
from
it.
that.
I get that with watching VR.
Yeah.
Just like I can only do
Oh
that for
yeah,
so long.
watching VR is super weird.
No, this is a very not shaky game. Actually, like the up and down is relatively normal, but like actually moving your body left and
Yeah.
right is pretty slow. And I imagine you can change that as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
and just standard like you can actually go prone, like you can duck and then go straight down to like get under cars and stuff. But and little platforming jump, pretty gracious. Like
Yo, sure.
you jump pretty high.
Sick.
So they're like,
That's cool.
We want you to get where you need to go, and you have like ladders, and then later you get like a big scaffold that you can use. You can like move around. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned you gave a shout out to YouTube content creator because the car wash episode's what got me to try this out. But I have noticed this game, at least recently, has been like huge on Twitch. Seeing a lot of Twitch stream, like it was in the top when the browse for the top categories. It was up there. I'm like, what the heck is? And I just watch it.
So weird.
Everyone's just playing it. So it's like,
this game's popping off.
Yeah.
There's like a whole genre of internet content that's like, why am I watching this? You know, that like,
Yes.
it's like people can't,
Like
put a
us.
definition on it and are kind of staring at the face of like, would seem like such a waste of time. And yet I saw one the other day where like guys were putting like a rubber band around a watermelon. I saw like an article about this, and they just like, every time they put a rubber band on, they're like, this watermelon's gonna explode at some point. And I think they did it for like 9 hours. And some people, like easy living, were just like, I watched all 9 hours. I couldn't stop,
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Gundam building. It's like, it's not really about the thing. It's about reading chat and like what
just
they're talking
hanging out.
about. Yeah, how crazy you eventually see them getting. So I can imagine it's like that on Twitch where people are like, it's been 2 hours. Why am I?
I don't know. Like, I remember House Flipper was big on Twitch for a little bit. Like, I remember seeing people playing this game. I'm like, like it's so enthralling for no reason. I don't understand it, but
They'll like,
I love it.
I'll start in an area. It's like a 3-story house. Like one was a firehouse, and they have the like fake staircase thing in the back that like a lot of fire stations have, where they like train going up the stairs and doing windows. It's just like the most boring, repetitive structure. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do the main firehouse, and then I'm gonna call it. Maybe I'll do that thing tomorrow. And just 45 minutes later,
there
I'm like,
it is, still going.
Can't stop, won't stop.
You said there's a campaign. How long do you think it was?
I mean, it was like 40 hours.
40
Again,
hours?
because it's not like the twists, the turns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's most of the
Damn,
game.
that's impressive though.
And so it
that's an RPG.
and yeah, I think the extra 10 where they were like, one is the Mars rover, like a mission where you like clean
What?
Mars rover on Mars. And they put that in an area where they're like, that doesn't fit into it. I could see them making it work. Actually fitting into the campaign. They could just like teleport you there or something.
Dude, Jones, they need to
But,
make like a Star Wars pack where you're on the Death Star cleaning it.
That's the other thing too. Cleaning the outside of the Falcon, like
Oh my
I'll
God.
play it multiple times, like
cleaning Jabba's palace and he's back there yelling at you.
Yeah, cleaning like the Nakatomi Plaza of blood, like when you're done, just cleaning the Ghostbusters, the firehouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very silly, but it just, boy, it was what I think one of the other things too is that, having the 3-year-old, like working on other projects, there was just a lot that could pull me out of any gaming experience I got into, which is why like I've played a lot of Elden Ring, but just I still got a long ways to go with that game, because anytime I would like go into an area,
It's a demanding thing. It's very demanding.
And so having this game that I'm just like, I can
just
literally
zone
just
out.
go quit, and then right when you quit, it saves the game on your way out.
Yeah, that's
and then
nice.
it's like, oh, I'm done. Okay,
I love stuff like that.
I'll pick up right where I left off.
Dawn, are you gonna do some power washing?
I was pretty excited for it when I was hearing Jones talk about it. He made me a little nervous when he started talking about the barnacles, though, and sea stuff. That stuff freaks me out, actually, big time. So I don't know about
The
that. I
ocean?
get a little nervous
Stuff
about
in the
It's
ocean?
really just in like the
ocean
fine
growth.
textures of the dirt.
Ocean
it's really
growth.
Yeah, like barnacles on a pier, things like that.
Weird.
Oh,
we all have like
man.
some weird, like I hate fish I just hate fish. I don't want them, dude. Like, fuck them. I hate them. But it's so weird when like I'm learning all these things about like stuff we hate about the ocean. Like fear of like open water.
Oh,
I think
dark
that's-
water. Dark
I
water
think
specifically,
that's
just-
freaky as it is. Like island with underwater structures. You got any weird sea things, any weird water things?
Maybe not the sea, but like not a fan of like lakes, like camp lakes and stuff.
Camp
I'd
lakes?
rather go into an ocean
Oh,
than
okay.
like in a camp.
Oh, you get Loch
it's
Ness
like,
down there?
Like dark water. It's like
Like that Saul's episode.
I'd rather not. Like it's.
You don't know what's down there.
I don't know what's down there.
Some freak.
Yeah, could
Some
be
freak.
unnatural.
Some freak. Yeah, some bioweapon down
Some
there.
bioweapons waiting down there. Jason Voorhees.
Jason,
out.
dude, yeah. Did you play Corey Jones?
I have not.
Okay.
That's still that first one that we did. Until Dawn is the only one.
Man and
of those that I
Medan.
played.
Were you there for that?
I was not there for Man and
Okay.
Medan. I missed all the others.
Those seem like such Jones games.
I know.
Well, there ain't going nowhere. There's gonna be a million of them, so whatever.
I heard it was good, which makes me happy.
The Quarry?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like games like that.
It generally it did well.
yeah,
I think,
it did. Well, yes, I think
and
you could
it's-
have a good time.
It made me feel good because it's like they better be getting good at that, because that's definitely
That's what their
it's
wheelhouse.
like Insomniac before they worked on Spider-Man. I was like, this is gonna be good, right? Because this seems like the perfect team
Yeah.
to be working on this
Yeah,
character. And so it's like every time that they're like, and another horror game, it's like, okay, I would hope You know, you're just kind of gradually learning lessons.
Yeah.
And talking to your community and knowing what they want. You know, and so
I liked House of Ashes. That was their Dark Pictures before this one. More.
yeah, the military like in the
and it's
tomb.
like 6-7 hours, nice and breezy.
That's fine.
So, Damiani, you reviewed this when this came out for us. I don't know what year this was, 2017, but I've been playing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Finally,
Nice.
I've had this game for like 5 years. I don't know how long it's been out.
Finally diving in.
The sequel's coming out this
Good time
October.
to catch up.
Not a crowded time at all whatsoever. So
I know.
it'll be
Perfect time.
perfect
Yeah,
time.
just take your time. Nice and easy.
This game's delightful. I've been
Yeah.
having a really good time with this game. It is, I guess, I haven't played a lot of this series, but it's like XCOM Mario, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This game is so weird, and I'm kind of surprised it exists. Like, the Nintendo let them put their like weird French Rabbids in this that are like just minions, I guess. I don't know what came first. Let us know. Minions or Rabbids?
That had to be Minions.
That's a
It
good
had
question.
To be Minions. No?
I think it was Rabbids.
I mean, Rabbids
But
was in the 2000s.
that would be my bet,
But I
but
thought
don't-
Minions was also in the 2000s. Dang, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Either
I'm
way,
trying to look it
they
up.
always just scream. "Blah!" That's like
Yeah.
what they do this whole game.
Yeah.
I think Rabbids are a little dumber than Minions. I think Minions actually actually kind of can do stuff. Like you could like
A little more
leave,
competent?
You could like leave Minions somewhere and like part of the job's gonna get done. Whereas like
Yeah, that's
Rabbids,
true. Part of the job
Rabbids are
will
just
get done.
agents of chaos, man. Like
They are very chaotic. That's true. But yeah, this game is a tactical game where you play as Mario characters with Rabbids that are dressed up as Mario characters. And dude, it's so sick because everyone's got their own little specialty going on in this game. First of all, I think there's a Peach Rabbid, OP, because so far the only one that can heal that I have, I'm like, well,
oh.
I can never get rid of you. And I got Mario, also awesome, running around you. He's got like a hammer too, dude. You can like smack guys and get close. Good stuff.
Gun. Mario armed.
Mario armed. I wish there was like Jones. I wish there were realistic guns because it'd be so funny. Like Mario with a Glock would be amazing to me. But they're like weird laser tag guns or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a Rabbid Luigi I got going on. He's good. I also have Luigi, but man, I don't think he's as good as the other ones. I'm sad because I love Luigi.
Yeah, I feel like
He's like a sniper almost.
regular Luigi or the Rabbid Luigi?
I have both of them.
Which one's the sniper? You did use the
That's
sniper.
regular Luigi.
Okay, I felt like I did use him
I'm
a
sure he's
bit.
fine.
Yeah.
But just with the other rabbit, he's got like some sweet side, like a tackle you can do.
Yeah, that was
And it puts like a lifesteal effect on
yes,
people.
those things like the vampire effect, like the melee part of it, where you can like plot your course on like the grid. So it's like a giant
Yeah.
grid. You can see where your character moves, makes like a path, and like when you hit an enemy, it like makes like a highlight around them. Like, oh, you're gonna interact with this enemy. Like
Yeah.
that was really fun. It was like figuring out how much you could get away with. Like, can I slide tackle this one?
Yeah.
Or can I jump on multiple of these? And
Yeah.
how many? Like, because when you bounce off, I think you get like an impact as well.
Yeah.
It's like Peach.
Yeah,
one of them had that.
yeah. Mario has like ability. You could jump off an ally. So a basic
yeah,
thing
the
in the game,
launcher,
you can
yeah.
jump off an ally to go further.
Yeah.
And Mario can jump off and land on a guy to also do like,
Yep.
big damage.
Yep, stuff like that was just like really fun to figure out.
It really reminded me of Super Mario RPG. Just like
a little bit, yeah.
when you have a game with Mario where you have Mario in a game that's not a normal Mario game, you're like, well, Mario jumps. So he's going to have a jump attack every time.
yeah.
Well, it's so impressive. I think one of like the reasons why the Mario franchise, I mean, it's like sports, like totally on the side of this, but like he is the star of some of the greatest platforming games like
Yep.
ever made. Like that is what Mario is. Like Mario jump. Like you think about him, he's got like 1 foot up in the air. So the fact that like turn-based role playing and tactics, these two things were like you are not moving. Like you are so traditionally just your feet are glued to the ground. Are great.
Yes.
Like that they, he excelled that they figured that out and made it feel natural and made it work. And like Amanda played, Kingdom Battle. And there's a lot of Switch games. Like there's a lot of like main franchise stuff that she's just never like been into. And I did not tease that to her at all. She just gravitated toward it and thought it looked cool and enjoyed it. Like
Okay.
I don't think she made it through because
I think
it
kinda
can
long
get
game.
tricky. But from what I saw just over her shoulder, I was like, this is jolly as heck.
Yeah.
How did you like the kind of like the structure of the worlds? Because it's more like a.
It's super, so far, I'm only in like world 2 maybe, close to 3 I think, but it's like super linear, I guess, and there's not a lot of exploration. There's a little bit. They're like a few puzzles, which I appreciate, but some of them right now are just kind of like, push a block.
Yeah.
Very basic right now. It's okay, but I think there's still ways to go to see.
Yeah, I remember it feeling a little bit like a 3D world type map where
It
it's
is.
like you just like go
It is.
to the next spot and there's like you see with the flags where like there's the next encounter. You're gonna have to like fight here.
Yeah.
And it felt like sometimes there's a little bit of backtracking, like you went here, but like
Yeah, because you
gotta go
need
back.
this the ability that
Yeah.
you couldn't use later, Like, I had to learn how to push a block. I was like,
Yeah.
push a block?
It's something I bring it up because I'm curious. Like I was curious how you felt because I bring it up because of the sequel coming
Mm-hmm.
out. It looks like they're kind of making it a little bit more open in terms
That
of
is
like it's not
cool.
just going down like everything
haven't
doesn't look
seen
like
it.
corridors or 90-degree
Yeah.
turns. It's like this feels a little bit more natural here
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit more. They're leaning a little bit more into the puzzle or activity
Yeah,
element.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think the main purpose of this game was, or the thing they need to get right was the combat and the humor, because there is a lot of humor in this game.
and that music.
The music's very good.
Soundtrack is
Oh,
really
nice.
good.
It's very good,
Yes.
yeah. It's very jolly. This game's very jolly.
Even though, is it kind of repetitive? Because I imagine like I imagine like you're in these levels way longer than you would be in the average Mario level.
I don't know, Jones. I haven't felt like that yet.
Cool.
It's Grant Kirkhope and some others who did
That's
this
right,
one.
yeah.
So it's like
And you got the Donkey Kong
Yeah.
stuff after. So
Oh,
I bet
yeah, the
the
Donkey Kong
music's
stuff,
good in
they-
this.
they-
I bet
I
it's
bought that. It was
pretty good
the
in
season
that.
pass was. I think this game was $5, like right now on sale,
That's
and the
awesome.
season pass was $5. So it's
Okay.
like hell of a good time to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong stuff was pretty cool too. Like nice Donkey Kong.
watched
Country
your review,
nods.
and I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, curious. They I mean, obviously they got a new big boy with Bowser stepping in the sequel, so it's kind of like taking Donkey Kong's place. But it was they did some nice stuff with that, like involving the abilities, like each, as you said, each character or Rabbid character having their unique sets. Then like upgrading the weapons and like what effect.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Like the weapons have status effects on
Yeah,
them.
I like that a lot.
One of them's like honey. There's a percentage you can
Yes.
shoot them with honey and
Oh,
they'll get
yes.
stuck in place.
Yes.
Or one of them is a bounce. You shoot them, and there's a chance they could just like bounce far
bounce
away and
thing
they can
was-
like fly off the
'cause
map.
I love that. The
Yeah.
cheese, like you do 'cause out of bounds, they're done. Like
But
one
some
hit.
of the big boys, it doesn't
Yes.
work on. You can bounce them, but they just come back.
Yeah, they come back, and then those boss encounters. I'm curious if you
I
got.
fought one boss,
Okay.
and it was a Donkey Kong Rabbid.
Yep.
He was sick. He like okay, so the fight starts. He's on this like grid kind of thing. He's got bananas, and you got to make your way to him. You have to step on a switch to get rid of his bananas, or else he'll eat bananas every time you hit him, and he'll heal.
Gotcha.
Up. So you got to do that. You fight him, you shoot him, then he'll hop around the map and like do some big AOE attack. I was like, oh, this is really fun. I like this. And just seeing a Donkey Kong Rabbid is, I mean, it's a hideous freak, but it's cool to see that.
Yeah, I'm surprised of your tolerance of the Rabbids kind of defaming, kind
Well-
of like getting all up into this universe and making fun of it. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong is a sacred thing to me, but Jones, it's
Right.
not Seth Rogen being Donkey Kong.
there you
So
go.
I don't
Okay.
got a problem
See,
with
that's
it.
I want to put things on the
all
Brad
right.
tier list of
right.
like how bad.
If you have Donkey
What is
Kong
worse
going,
than what?
But I will say, I'm not a fan of the casting. Everyone knows that.
Right.
But I'm willing to give it a shot. Maybe
Right.
you can do a good thing. Maybe I'll like it.
What would a rabid Seth Rogen look like?
Look like.
A beard.
You talked a lot about health, so
Yeah.
I want is that like an attrition thing where like you just naturally lose a lot of health because the levels are like not like a slog, but like linear and just tough to get through where you really have to manage that. Or from my experience with just strategy games in general, just when you're just not paying attention, like oof, like you'll get a really powerful hit and then it's like oh my goodness, I don't want to lose that one unit. I gotta send somebody in.
Sometimes it hasn't been like, I don't think this is like a very complicated or tough tactics game, especially if you've played other ones. You'll probably cruise through. They're trying to make it very accessible to everyone.
They have challenges at the end. I think unless I'm misremembering, there's something about like your like performance grade at the end.
Yes.
Like I think that infects if you get
If
like
you get like a
HP
certain amount of
back or
turns,
something.
you get
Oh,
HP back
cool.
at the end. There's like some
you can-
mushrooms you can pick up in the world to heal you.
cool.
Yeah.
But there's also challenges you can do later on to get like extra talent points essentially.
Nice.
A bunch of like other stuff like that, but I think there's like some DLC now too that's like challenge packs if you want to get like crazy.
Yeah, there's one really like one like was looking up online, so, like just some hints for how to do it because like it's you only like a certain amount of moves to like defeat everything, and it's very specific how you're supposed to like it's a puzzle. It's almost it's less of like about strategy so much. I mean, it's strategy, but it's less about skill so much as like you have to hit this thing that will then trigger, like, will then spring bounce over to this thing, which then cause a chain, like a whole chain reaction, like the beginning of Goonies, basically, or like, you know, like beginning of Back to the Future, the Doc's thing to get the dog food in. It's like one of those contraptions, like Spielberg special right there.
Dawn, did you play this?
I haven't played it. I had a major aversion to Rabbids my whole life. And to solve it first, the mystery of which came first, the minions or the Rabbids. According to my research, Rabbids showed up in 2006, Rayman Raving Rabbids, and then the minions showed up in Despicable Me 2010. So the Rabbids
Rabbids first.
I can't believe that. Yeah, I could have sworn it was the other way around. But Brad, I haven't played it, and it's weird because I love tactics. Huge fan of XCOM. But I haven't played it mainly because of my unexplained aversion to the rabbits in the past. The Rabbids, maybe I got to move past it, but I'm still raw from Mario Odyssey, the Brutals. I know those weren't Rabbids, but for some reason they've made me feel like the Rabbids, and it's about time to get over it. So maybe I'll give it a try. It looks fun.
It's cheap right now, Dawn. So I guess if you want to try, now's the time. But
it reminds me of like Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, "You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?"
Yeah, rabbits. Yeah,
you know, it's like, but that noise that Jim Carrey makes, like, you can modulate that in a way to where it's suddenly pleasing. You know, it's suddenly like, oh no, that's funny. But if you like make it, you know, just a couple of pitches higher, it's like, no, that's terrible. Please stop that sound right now. It's like you got to find the sweet spot.
Well, the version in concern isn't like completely unwarranted, because I think most of us were guilty when this game was the original first game was leaked its existence.
Yeah.
And we all looked at
Classic
this
Ubisoft
and it was
leak.
like, man, this looks like a disaster in the making, like comedy, like rabid versions. Like, what is this? And then we saw it in action and we were like, oh, we were wrong about this. So
I think
maybe it's like that, Don. Yeah.
I think this game's good,
I think you're right.
I think it's really good. I think they've done a good job combining these.
I really enjoyed this game, and definitely looking forward to sequel. It's just always a question of length. Like, it felt like maybe it went on a little
too long.
Too long.
Sure.
But yeah, sometimes shorter is sweeter, and the next one looks maybe probably bigger. So
we have a question from Garrett Wholefish. Said Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope looks to be improving on the first game in many ways. I'm really impressed with the more fleshed out world exploration, and I appreciate the innovation with the turn-based movement. What are some key changes that have you the most excited? What do they mean by turn-based movement?
So the grid's gone. You don't see a grid anymore, and like it's free movement now. So like,
really?
You have like like I think they show like a area of effect like looking thing that shows you where you could go maximum distance outward.
Yeah.
But like you don't move like 90 degrees. It's like 3D movement, like
really?
Actual like 360-degree movement. And you're just limited by, I think, a stamina meter and how far like it'll let you go, and so it's more open like that. So the question is that seems more like liberating, but also now you don't have the grid to like precisely tell you you're gonna hit here. So like that juggling act.
Yeah, because there's like cover and stuff like that.
That's my biggest question is, how does that feel playing that? Does that translate into feeling actually better, or is it just better on paper?
I don't know a lot about the sequel, but I know Bowser's a character. Yeah, that gets me hyped.
Dude, Bowser.
To have Bowser on your team?
Yeah.
Like, when he was on your team in Super Mario RPG, I was like, you're never leaving my party.
Oh, yeah, he wrecks, man. Like, I'm expecting that big gun to just, like, take down some bosses.
Oh, my God,
man.
dude, yeah.
Like, he's gonna be my tank going up there, like, one-on-one with the boss.
Yeah. I'm super curious to see the more open world you were kind of talking about, or the more exploration, emphasizing that.
Yeah.
Now that they got the core down, I guess, of what this game was, to see how they expand it.
Yeah, I guess it's like, how meaningful is it, and does after like X amount of hours do you just like stop caring about that? It's like, I just want to get to the end of the game. I don't want to do this extra stuff. I just want to play the missions. Or is it something like, man, by doing these, I unlock something very useful. Or it feels worthwhile and meaningful. I'm looking forward to doing that. The question of, this is meaningful padding, or not just padding, but meaningful extra content, or does it feel like padding?
Yeah.
Meaningful padding.
Meaningful padding.
Felipe asked, hey, Brad, do you feel like the new Mario plus Rabbids has no hype behind it? Unlike the first. Thanks. Cheers, Brandon. Love and respect.
I mean, I feel like the first one benefited from two things.
Yes.
One, just crazy concept in general, so it had everyone's curiosity. And two, the leak, the turnaround from the leak to the positive vibes, like that swing helped it so much. So you can't replicate that again. We know there's a known quantity. You can't have that. I also think it didn't help that we didn't have like we did have the third-party showcase, which had that, but it also was split into like the day after into Ubisoft's own showcase. So I think the original Rabbids benefited from being part, like we still had traditional E3, the traditional E3 cycle. Nintendo was still a little bit more traditional in its like hype, like scheduling and marketing. Right. And along with Ubisoft, the whole thing with Miyamoto on stage, like on Ubisoft,
that was so good.
It was
the dev there. Oh my
gosh,
god,
it's hard,
so
like
good.
hard to replicate that.
Yeah.
And just this year, like ever since this summer, I think Nintendo's has been a little bit like approaching it a little bit differently. They're back to like the 2020 approach this summer, where everything's being a little bit piecemeal, and I think that's definitely kind of taken away a little bit of the steam behind this. But I think once it comes out, like people, like the word of mouth will help it. But yeah, it does feel like it's a little bit like like not getting the hype that the first one had.
What about you, Jones? I know you're not technically on the outside necessarily, but you're not with us in the office every day.
Oh, just like the industry, I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually what I was thinking, is that like I'm certainly not tuned in, like especially all like the Summer Game Fest stuff. I was like, wait, what? Xbox announced? Oh, right. Today's the press conference. But I still know Live Alive comes out this week. And like I'm not, I'm not probably gonna make time for that, just because I'm playing a lot of stuff, but playing as much stuff as I possibly can. But I think like from what I can tell, based on like the whole Switch's lifespan, is like you really only get 2 or 3 huge games a month if you're lucky, just in terms of like the things that everybody's talking about. So I think if this game's just right in the middle of a month where there's not a huge amount of things happening on the Switch, I think it'll get a lot of attention, because it just, I think they can really kind of focus on one thing if they want to. But it's going to be interesting to see how it can, because it seems to be improving a lot of things from the first game. But as far as like bringing in people that might have been, bringing in your Rabbid aversion Dons, I don't know if this is necessarily going to reach too far to try to get that audience.
I will say, not coming out in the best month at the moment. Little too packed of a month in October, and a little too close to God of War. It's like this, like August. I know they got Xenoblade at the end of this month, but man, sometime in August looked like it might have been like a really nice time for that game. Also, Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 3,
like Bayonetta 3, a game that people have been waiting for. It's been like its existence has almost been known as long as the time between the first Rabbids game and its sequel. So we got like 2 Rabbids games in the time it's taken Bayonetta 3 to come out.
The only thing is the Switch effect, where I just feel like everything sells on the Switch. Doesn't even matter.
Yeah. I think it's a game that might have like also a little bit of like a slower burn.
Yes,
like it might,
you're probably right.
Like maybe like holiday, like November, December, you'll see it like pop back up, or like have it like
kind
a
of
bit
charts,
stable. Because the first one did sell extremely well.
Yeah, it did.
It's one of their better selling third-party collaborations.
Ubi's
third party
always kind of supports Nintendo pretty well, at least when their systems
and
come
Nintendo
out.
does usually support with the marketing backup for it too. So
we got this question from Spheric Formula, and it made me think about a question I want to ask you guys.
All right.
Mario plus Rabbids is an XCOM game that is one of the strangest crossovers, but works pretty damn well. What are some games combining together in any other games genre that you think would work or be a total train wreck? In other words, like Rayman plus Pokemon in the style of Hitman. So I guess what games mixing together do you want, or do you think would be sweet? Anything like that?
Oh, so ones that would be sweet, not a train wreck?
It could be either.
Oh, okay.
So
this is for you too, Don.
I saw that this was a part of my PS Plus subscription with all of the old classic games. Went in there expecting to just immediately spend a lot of time with your Jumping Flash or your Siphon Filter.
Did you play Resident Evil Director's Cut?
I've not played that. Thank you. I played it back in the day. With that,
it's on there.
Okay, it's. I don't know if I'll go back to that, but really focused on I didn't spend a lot of time with Siphon Filter. What jumps out at me? Infamous, because I never played Infamous 1 or 2.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I know Infamous 2 is better than Infamous 1, but I technically own it. Let me just jump in. And it's only streaming, and so it's that's a pretty, I would say grody looking game, but it's a pretty bleak city. Everything's very gray.
Yeah.
playing Infamous reminded me of Prototype, which was the franchise that I did get into,
Yes.
which was super B-movie cheesy, like, you know, that's not like some of the best that generation has to offer, but I still just as an open world fan, I got a big kick out of it. I would love like Proto Miss 3, you know, or just something like some story that merges those two weird worlds, because they have to, you know, it was such a weird dichotomy.
They were competing with each other at the same time. Yeah, it was weird.
But and it was funny because Prototype, like, you know, it's very like veiny and you know, speaking of Resident Evil, it was very like T-Virus, you know, like what was happening to him, and it was very red, and like, you know, Infamous is very blue with all of the lightning, so it's just fun. Be a funny clash, those two things.
Yeah, Damiani, like the Warrior games work really well.
I said this one before, but a dream has been to have a Fire Emblem game made by Valkyria team.
Oh yes, team. Yeah, that is a great
doing that type of like real time SRPG, but it's like medieval warfare.
Yeah,
and you have like the terrain, and everything. Like, so it's like
I would love to see how they handle melee,
trebuchets and like ballistas, and like you got like Valkyrie, like you know, like Pegasus Knights. Sorry, not Valkyrie. Pegasus Knights like flying around. Like, you got the cavalry. You got like, you know, infantry, all like just running around and stuff. Like while you're so like when you're moving, it's like, all right, well, there's not guns shooting me, but like there are archers, and maybe like a trebuchet is gonna hit. And, like, oh, there's like the AOE radius. Like, don't want to run over there because I'm gonna get deleted by that. And then just like the like working in maybe some of like the partner stuff. So like you like remember how like they had in three houses, like the battalions that like did like the group of people behind you would like attack if you left the animation on.
Yeah.
But like it felt like okay. I don't think it like looked great, but there's something you could like maybe you're leading a small so instead of an individual character to build off of Valkyria to like enhance like go further than it, maybe you're leading a small squad in real time, so like all your players are following you. You might like lose a few, but like your goal is like you want to get to this enemy with enough attacks that when you do your attack you have like enough to like hit it or something. And I think I'm like trying to think of like vehicles, because you like in Valkyria you have like tanks and you don't like what would you use in like maybe like a Fire Emblem
flying horse. I don't know what else they really have.
But yeah, riding that tactics train, I'm getting one of these because Midnight Suns is this year.
Oh.
I feel like that's a game that like I'm going to miss the launch of, but like I
can't
remember when that's specifically coming out, but like, you know, specifically X-Men, I said like, you know, numerous times in Easy Allies content, but like more just, you know, Marvel and, you know, even expanding just the comic books in general. I'm like, oh, it'd be so cool if you took like all these superpowers and really focus them on like one action sequence you're playing in slow motion, like the way you do in Tactics. So I hope Midnight Sun gets just like a ton of DLC and adds like a lot of cool characters. It's like you were saying, like the team-based thing. Like it's cool to be all these weird characters, but it'd be also neat to just be like just the Fantastic Four, you know? And it's like, how does their stuff complement? You know, like what weird combo moves can they do? You know, like Colossus isn't in it, but like Wolverine is, so it's like, of course, you know, I want if we get a toss in there, that would be perfect eventually.
What about you, Donnie?
My idea, this is a little far-fetched. This would be hard to pull together because of the number of licenses you'd have to get here. But now that Mario is coming to Universal Studios, okay, I was thinking how cool it would be, thinking about Minions, if we cross the genres there. And so it's Universal is the shared backdrop, the sort of aesthetic. But then we have this sort of 2.5D platforming action adventure where you're Mario, you know, it's Mario, but you're interacting with Jurassic World, Simpsons, Minions, Back to the Future still there? I don't know. Things like that, but it's Subspace Emissary style, Brad. So you're sort of, when you're in the different lands, certain rules sort of apply. You know, it sort of changes a little bit when you're in Simpsons World, Springfield, etc. Cross that over and have a Universal-based game. That'd be
like you're
sweet.
in the park, you know.
Yeah, you're
like
in the park, but all the
Mario
levels
walking
are sort
around
of
the park.
when you go to the different lands.
Hey, talks to everybody.
You could even have the backlot could be like the Universal, you know, thing. That would be sweet.
Don, if they take out the Mummy ride, then I will approve of this concept.
Everyone's waiting for that ride to get demolished. We'll be there in the live audience when they take that thing down, Brad. Everyone's looking forward to it.
This has been a dream of mine. Is I want a turn-based Zelda game from someone like a Final Fantasy, Square Enix, or someone to make a turn-based Zelda game where you actually go on the adventure, you go in dungeons, you have party members with you, like Zelda's with you, or someone else going in there, you know. Just a little turn-based action.
Would you pull characters from a lot of different games? Kind of make it a hometown buffet of Zelda goodness?
I don't know if I would do like characters from specific games. Like, I don't know if I would be like, yo, there's Midna in this game and
Sure.
there's Tetra in this game kind of thing. But maybe I would be like, Link and Zelda would be 100%. But maybe you could put like a different version of like Sheik or whatever, because they always do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The king,
Yeah.
appears in
Yeah,
different
exactly.
forms.
Damn, that sounds.
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah.
Need to get the like Bravely Default or Octopath Team Asano to do it, since they're the ones making turn-based.
You want, the 2.5D.
You
Yeah.
want from like Square Enix, but like,
Yeah.
But if it takes the Rabbids to a whole nother franchise to merge with Mario to finally get a tactical Mario, would you need something like a Dragon Quest to come in?
Oh my
into the
God.
Zelda universe.
Dragon Quest Zelda? Yes.
yeah.
Holy God,
what I
Jones.
mean?
I didn't think of
To
that.
make it happen.
Yeah.
Holy God.
And I wanted like a Tales of Zelda game.
You want like a Tales of Combat one?
Yeah, like so your party, so you're still doing like real-time combat.
Real time?
but, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I still want that as much, but at one point I was like, dude.
Do you want the anime vibes with it?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I want that like that opening music video.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The anime intro.
Yeah, the flavor of the month J-pop group, please.
Yeah. Just so you know, we're supported by Patreon. That is how we are alive. That is the lifeblood of this company. So if you want to support us and be able to get sweet perks like writing into this podcast and our Easy Allies podcast, you can just sign up there for $5 to be able to sign in and write whatever you want to us. Ask some sick questions. But yes, please support us on Patreon. It is how we are We're surviving primarily thanks to awesome people like you. If you're a patron, thank you so much. We love y'all. And if you're just watching, thank you. We appreciate it, all that stuff too. So thank you, everybody. But on our Patreon, we also have a shout out tier.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the big boys out there.
Give me a Brad shout out, please.
We got Jabbawabs, Elthanas, Greg, TheDarkKnight Kettering, Caleb, Togi, Crawford, Nick, and Anacrothe. That's a shout out from you. Jones, give me a shout out in... Why don't you give me a Mario shout out? How would Mario do it?
Woohoo! Shout out!
Excellent.
That was perfection.
Maybe a little too loud, sorry.
Dawn, give me a shout out as the Wave Race announcer.
Shout out!
Beautiful. Dawn, do you want to do a shout out or are you good?
I'm kind of intimidated now.
You're really
Those are
intimidated?
really good, so I don't know.
Do a shout out as an Animal Crossing character.
No.
All right, fine.
Like, how do you, like,
Yeah, exactly.
you don't say shout out.
Gentlemen, there's been a lot of video game adaptations in our lifetime. A lot.
Yes.
Some have been cool. Some have been pretty damn good. Like, I think the Castlevania adaptation's pretty damn good.
Agreed.
We all love the Mortal Kombat movie, the first one.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's good 90s cheese. A new one came out. Probably the series that has, like, the most adaptations I can think of on the top of my head. And that is Resident Evil. A new Netflix series came out, Resident Evil. And I watched this. All of it.
Ooh.
I don't think it's good.
Okay.
At all.
Yes.
At all.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was the one.
So I ended up not watching it because here's the thing, Brad. I saw.
I watched it because you were going to talk about it.
So listen to this.
I was told I was looking forward to this
So
conversation.
a few things. No, first of all, I saw the GameSpot review.
Okay.
It said 9 out of 10, like best, most faithful adaptation. I'm like,
hear good things.
Faithful?
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's good. I was like, I'm getting ready to watch this. Boot up Netflix. Get like top of the page, like Resident Evil. Then you know they play those preview clips, like the 30 seconds. Pretty much showed me the worst possible thing you could show me. Literally a freaking like scientific chamber room with one of the dogs, and there's a cat in a cage, and I'm like, and they're like, I'm like, I was like, fuck you. Literally went on Twitter and was like, all right, please, like lay it on me. Like, and the people are like, oh yeah, there's some shit, and I'm like, no one can like tell me where it was specifically, and I'm like, I'm not, you know. And then I started seeing like the Sphere Hunter's take on it, Maximilian Dude's take on it, and I was like, this sounds like dog shit. And I was like, it's not good. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do the hassle. And I just like kept seeing people compare it to like a young teen drama.
Dude,
like, in terms of,
Damiani,
like,
this is a CW show.
yeah, like a
Resident
CW,
Evil.
like Resident Evil
Yes,
with the
Jones.
dialogue. It's like just very bad
This is-
dialogue.
Dude, there's some bad dialogue.
Because, dude, I saw that like Times Square like marketing thing, the
really
3D
cool.
like liquor thing.
Oh, that's like
I was
the best thing to come
"Dude,
out of it.
This
yeah.
looks good, and I'm like, no, it's not good. Apparently.
Jones,
So Brad,
did you watch it?
You prepped me on this well. I had a chance to watch this, and me and the missus got into Stranger Things finally.
Totally
We're finally
fine.
getting caught up in the season. And like,
you need
it's
to
great.
So Brad laid on how bad, like, how
Okay.
really bad is this?
So, I guess it depends. Resident Evil's been around for a long time, and I guess it depends on who you're trying to please. If you are trying to create a young adult CW kind of show with the Resident Evil name attached to it, you will enjoy this, I guess. If you like the CW and those kind of shows, and teen drama, you might like it.
You know who likes those shows?
Is Michael Huber. Yes. He said he enjoyed the first episode. It's totally fine.
Okay.
Not for me, though.
Okay.
Did not like this. I will tell you this. I liked the Raccoon City movie that came out more than this.
Oh dear.
More.
Okay.
That was more faithful to the game.
I still need to get caught up on.
Okay. Okay.
So this was 8 episodes, and okay, I don't want. I'm gonna fucking go nuts on this show.
Go ahead. I'm waiting.
The biggest problem for me was I was bored a lot.
Is this a lot of sitting around talking?
Kind of. Okay, so the show is divided up into 2 timelines. There's 2 things.
okay.
One takes place in 2022.
Okay.
The story revolves around Wesker, and he has 2 daughters, Billy and Jade. Okay, so you got the 2022 timeline, then you got the future in like 2036 or whatever, where the world's gone to shit.
It kind of looked like Terminator.
Yes,
a little
apocalypse,
bit. You know?
that kind of
Okay.
stuff. So you're hopping between these 2 different time periods throughout the whole show, and it's like, you know, Wesker works for Umbrella, and the daughters are like unraveling the mystery of kind of like what's going on at Umbrella, and then the rest is like the world dealing with Umbrella, you know, the zombie outbreak. There's like a few cool kills in this. There's the liquors in it. It's all right. There's a cool spider. Cool spider kill.
Okay.
I'll say that. The zombies I didn't really like.
Okay, that's
Didn't
bad.
really like them.
That's bad.
Dude. Wesker in this show, he's the best part of the show, by the way. Okay?
All right.
He's the best part of the show. He's like not Wesker, like at all.
Okay.
Lance Reddick, man, he's a goofball. From what I've seen, like he's very,
he's the
very
best
over
part
the
of the show.
top.
I don't want to spoil things, but
Cool.
some of the revelations of the show, I actually laughed out loud at some of the things that happened in the show. Just alone in my room at like 11 o'clock, and I just laughed because I was like blown away about how stupid this shit was. There is so much teen drama. Like, people act like they don't act like people at all. Just like some situations these people get into. These like, there's like school drama with kids fighting, like the daughters fighting with people at school, and it's so unrealistic and stupid. I just was like getting furious.
This is starting to sound like the last season of 13 Reasons or whatever.
I have no idea.
It's a teen drama.
Okay.
The first season was about doing with suicide.
Okay.
I mean, they try to cover serious things, but there's like literally a school riot episode.
Okay.
Where the entire class riots inside and causes like the
Okay.
police to be called to like, and it's like ridiculous. It's like this would okay, no, this would not happen. This is absolutely terrible. Hamming it up to the
Yeah.
max is like, this is not how real people are.
Yeah, it's just boring. I think the future stuff I like a little more. It's not great or anything like that, but at least you get to see some of the more monsters, I guess. And I liked the main girl. She was, I think it's the girl from Forspoken, actually, who's the main character in Forspoken. I think it's her.
Oh, okay.
So she must be big in the games or something like that. But yeah, I think she was all right. But just like, man, just like, I mean, Resident Evil's been through the ringer. Like, I didn't expect anything
Man.
from this, and it didn't surpass expectations or anything like that.
So let me ask both of you this. I'll start with you, Brad, since you've
Yeah.
been talking. Is there any of the film or CG adaptations that you actually like?
I
And
haven't
which are they?
seen.
The ones you've seen. The ones
I've
you've
only
seen.
seen the first 3 original ones and the newer one. No, I don't like any of them.
Okay.
I don't think they're very good, but at least this just doesn't feel like Resident Evil to me at all. Like,
Yeah.
the games, what happened in the games happens in this show. Like, they reference like Raccoon City and stuff like that, like the nuke going off and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't like it. I just don't understand it. Like, the newer Raccoon City movie, I think is dumb and has a lot of problems. But there's some parts in it I kind of like, actually. Like, there's the Spencer Mansion actually in that, and there's like a cool part in that.
Right.
But this, I'm just like, man, it's just, man, there's nothing cool here that I like.
I think that's why I like the CG stuff.
Okay.
Because there's like one moment that you can pull that I'm like, okay, I am actually kind of happy to know that Leon did that in his lifetime. You know, that like if we're kind of following, you know, like I don't know what weird lore Zelda timeline those CG movies take place when we're actually like, you know, thinking of all the events that like still going on in the game. I wonder if we're ever going to get a weird CG movie based on all like the new like village, like that kind of new branch of the RE tree. But they do get, I love these characters so much that they do get me when it's just like, oh, Jill, you know, like they have these moments of like, oh, wait, that's, I mean, it might be different voice actors, but it's like that, you know, those are those two characters. It's good to know what they're up to. And everything that they're doing is already based on like all of this time that I spent like playing and replaying these games and getting really familiar with these places. But like, any one of those experiences compared to like RE2 remake, no. Like to like going back and like meeting these characters again for the first time and seeing how they expand, like bumping into Lisa the first time and remake, like
Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
not
think
even close.
How crazy is this? The games I think have better writing and better stories than TV shows and movies.
Certainly
they're getting lapped.
Yeah. Village I really, really liked, but it was just 7, right? Yeah, the 7 I think was my favorite narrative. 7
sure,
me the entire way through. It was like, whoa, like that was super scary, and then at the end when a lot more like came to light, I was like, wow, I think this is really great and horrific, but also lends itself really well to this action, you know, setting and where there's just not. I was so livid at the first live action movie. And I would like I
hear that's like the best thing.
I could not have found because I totally idiotically expected it to be very much like
the game
what they did in the first game. Because I'm like you don't have to work that hard. They lay it out for you. It does feel like an action movie. It does feel like like The Thing.
It
like
builds.
You can really just kind of copy a lot of the stuff that they did in there. But it set me up for all the subsequent Mia Jovovich movies where I was like, oh, okay. Well, I know what to expect going into this. I think the one in Vegas, I'm like, I actually
Apocalypse
kind of enjoyed that because it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
no, curious because I still think I kind of enjoyed the very first live action.
Yeah, people say that's usually the best one.
It's like
I don't remember.
It's still tolerable to rewatch it. It's like the least offensive, which is funny because like 2 tried to be more faithful to the games, but I think they got a lot of things. Everything else about it's pretty bad. The funny thing is, I think as much as the CG films seem to be like the most faithful, they're the ones I like the least. Like I've never liked any of them. They've always been letdowns to me. I think kind of just boring. They're
two of them, and I don't remember like anything from them.
They're just boring.
Yeah.
And the live action one's the more faithful. Like I remember like the third or the fourth one because it wasn't the Vegas one where they brought in like the RE4 enemies and stuff or whatever, and I was like, oh, here we go.
There's some cameos and nods to the games I think that are cool in this show. Actually, there's like a few where I caught where I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. That makes sense, I guess. But
I think there's a lot of, at least from my perspective, I feel a lot of the worst video game adaptations are because they don't, not necessarily faithfulness, but like they stray too far from like the essence of what the game material was. It doesn't need to be one for one, but like they just eschew too much of the tropes that's what people like about this game. You need to find a way to translate that into film or television medium. I think Resident Evil is one where like they just keep shying away from literally just do the mansion. Make it like
the first game,
like
just make the first game.
You're a group of people stuck in a mansion or a building or something, and you got to get out, and it's like a zombie outbreak because that's what one pretty much is. They go in. There's a little bit too much like drama with the going in and all that, and like there's the story about the brother and sister, but like I think it just needs to go more raw and like primal. It's like you're thrown into this shit situation, and like how the hell are they gonna get out? Like it's just. Yeah.
They just need to remake the first game. That's all you have to do. It's laid out for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think they should just pick one, especially one, probably the easiest one, and just literally try to make that into a film.
Yeah, it's not Shakespeare, man.
Try
it's not,
exactly.
It's not complex. It's not Dune. You know, you're not. It's not like where do we start?
Yes,
it's like I would say less about the story, more about like the characters and the fear.
It's about the fear and the atmosphere. Yeah, that's the most important.
I think they got to get that. And
I want to know exactly how much ammunition these characters have at any given time. I don't think that's too much to ask.
How much you got?
Yeah, you want people to like be split up and like, are they going to survive? Like you, like it's tension, man. Right. Like this is like
that happens in the game.
Yeah.
Where's Chris?
Yeah.
Where's Barry?
I want that to have a flame grenade and a regular grenade and have to make that call.
Yeah.
You know, like
what am I going to use on Yon right here? What am I going to do? I don't know, man. It's like these things clearly aren't made for me.
Yeah.
As someone who's like super into Resident Evil and the story and the characters, like I'm really curious about a lot of other people who are just kind of from the outside and don't know a lot about the series, what they'll think about it more.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who, like I said, probably like enjoy this,
Yeah.
or even liked all the live action films. And there are definitely people who like all the CG films.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's good for the series to keep branching out like this, because as long as the games don't stop, like for me, and I'm
Yeah,
imagining
the
you,
games,
like
yeah.
I'm just a huge fan of like I
Yeah.
want to play every new
As
game
long as
that
the
comes
games
out,
don't
and they're
stop, it's fine.
fantastic, and I don't care what else they do. This is just like extra stuff, just like flip side, because you're saying video game adaptations. Apparently, just one of the best ones is the League of Legends one. That
Arcane, yeah.
And there are people who will never touch the game League of Legends, but love that show and are like
Yeah.
like hardcore in the League of Legends, the world and the mythos. Just they won't touch the game.
Yeah, I guess the show just feels super like, I mean, not lazy, but I get it's just disappointing me. Like,
Yeah, bad script is a bad
it's
script,
bad script,
you know?
Jones. They use like a lot of like pop license music throughout the show. Here's this Billie Eilish song, and like Resident Evil, it's like cool, I
Which
guess.
just does not exist anywhere in Resident Evil. Maybe in the end credits. Well, the other thing too, to bring up the excellent Metal Gear Solid into the conversation, but like after I played that game on PlayStation 1, it was like, oh, I didn't realize how cinematic games could be. Period. Like that game just showed how you could do that. You know, just like Zelda 64 and Mario 64. But like, here's how you do 3D. You just do that. And so like when I first played Resident Evil, I was like couldn't stop thinking of it as a movie. You know, like especially spoilers, like a moment like running towards the rocket launcher and taking that and shooting and Tyrant with it and just like I'm like me playing that shot. I just kept thinking like, whoa, that would make such a cool moment if you were to make it a little less, Virtua Fighter looking character, like doing very rigid, like straight cuts.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, they had live actors in the original. Like live, real actors, dude, doing stuff. It's like live action stuff in there.
Yeah. So you could, I think that's what really planted it, at least in my head, for it being like possible, and not only possible, but like really exciting and like in a quarry kind of way, like in a really like I think there still is an audience for that, and like this just kind of B movie popcorn, let's just get to have that, the crap scared out of us.
You know what? I guess I'm just really disappointed in this show because I know game adaptations can be good.
Yeah.
Arcane is good.
Yeah.
Castlevania good. I don't know if it's a exclusively animation thing or something like that helps lend itself, but Resident Evil is the one I feel like that could work really well in live action. I'm just sad, man.
Yeah.
I think that's what's unique about Resident Evil in cinema, and including the CG ones, is like a lot of people have tried in many different ways, and it just never seems to work out. You really have to kind of pan for gold to like find all the shiny nuggets in there. And so it's crazy how many times I forgot about this show. I just booted up.
I didn't know it was coming
Netflix
out.
for something, and was right there. And I was like, "What?" And it's just called Resident Evil. Like, whoa!
It's so wild that they have like the Welcome to Raccoon City and then this like in such a short time frame. It's like I don't know. It was hard to like keep track of like when this was coming out.
How many episodes?
8.
You said 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
But I mean,
40 minutes each or
Hey,
an hour.
A little bit more. I mean, we got first look at like the Tekken Netflix show that they're doing.
Right. That's animation though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and that's what you're saying, animation, and they confirmed we're getting more Castlevania. But
Yes, dude. Jones, have you seen this?
Oh yeah.
It's Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
Oh, the new. Oh, I thought you meant to show.
Oh yeah, the new thing is like Rondo. It's Richter.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, they. I loved all of that. I mean, I can't really think of anything on that show to criticize. That was right on the money.
A couple comments I want to read here about this.
Oh.
Leroux said, despite recognizing that I think the Resident Evil show is probably bad, I binged it this weekend and reasonably enjoyed my time with it, and I hope it gets another season. Without spoiling anything, I think Lance Reddick did amazing work in the show, and I saw aspects of his acting I've never seen before. Love and respect. Fair comment. Totally fair. I'm glad people are enjoying this show. Like, that's awesome. I just wish I did too.
It's all about expectations,
Yeah.
which doesn't sound like yours were too high.
No, they
going
weren't. They
into
weren't.
it.
They weren't. I had a glimmer of hope, Jones, just because there's been good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could always hope, like, maybe
Yeah.
season 2 will be better. I don't know.
Right.
Could always hope, but I don't know. Just keeping the expectations low for some things, and I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. Reminds me of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we should talk about that. That'd be funny. This is from Clint. Now that the Resident Evil games have reached the fidelity of the last few releases, Would you prefer that they forgot about the media like movies and shows and stick to telling stories via games? I don't think the games are losing anything by these things existing. They're like completely. They always keep this separate. It's like the games are their own thing.
Yeah. I do think like for the CG efforts for Resident Evil, like they're never gonna have like I feel like they're just never gonna have major revelations in them because
I don't think it's gonna really.
They'll never require the players to play, even though they're supposedly part of the canon. Like they're never gonna be required to understand the games. So they're fine to exist, but. I think the games for me will always be like that focal point because like the stuff I care about the most will be presented in the game lore.
Yeah. I don't think this is gonna take away anything from the games.
No.
I think if you keep throwing, if Capcom's got the money, you know, if all these production companies are willing to do it, you keep throwing darts at that board. I think it's got to hit. The more I think about 7, like definitely don't want to spoil something if somebody wants to get through 7 and Village, but. What you learn about what happened, kind of like Resident Evil 4, where you're like, whoa, this village got wrecked. You learn like what happened leading up to all of these horrible events. That could make a really good movie or a show.
7 and
really dive into
1
that.
would be great movies.
You see all of it, but that's not really action heavy. That's just really slow
tension.
Horror. Yeah. Amityville. Just seeing these people that really care about each other, all of them kind of collapse and that could be really good. But.
Yeah.
Never keep those hopes.
Yeah. Don, are you going to watch this? Are you going to give it a shot?
At some point, I'll probably watch at least the first couple episodes. Look, I think you guys are both all totally right. Like the franchise, since it began, tried to did that horrible live action movie thing where they're like, let's remake this in our own image instead of just they had the perfect foundation if they just would have made it. But I am a fan of the movies, but not because of the Resident Evil lore, because they committed to 3D hard and early, and they got better as they went on. So the last few have actually been really fun popcorn, special effects movies just for the 3D element alone. But I long ago gave up on this franchise having anything that was like satisfying fan service in terms of the, live action media. So my expectations are absolute 0 for Resident Evil. One of the lowest it can get. I would even say Aliens vs. Predator might be slightly higher in terms of hope for like, maybe they'll come out with something good in the AVP universe. So it's really down there, Brad. But also just to mention, you mentioned the actress Ella Balinska earlier. That's she was in Forspoken and Resident Evil, so she's killing it. Yeah,
yeah, good for her.
This one, Brad, I don't have a lot of interest. No 3D.
No 3D, John. No 3D.
Resident Evil Absolute Zero sounds like an animated movie. That sounds like one of the next installment.
Just make it the Zero game. Just redo it.
We've reached Absolute Zero.
Absolute Zero. Billy. Wait, Don, do you like the Resident Evil games? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Most of them, I like them a lot.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I ever talked to you about it. Maybe he talked to you, he probably pumped you for information or something.
4 is my favorite, like most of the world.
It's not wrong with that. 4 is really good.
Love it.
Is that your favorite Damiani? 4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jones, yours is what, remake? Or is yours 4 too?
It depends on what you're talking about. Like, if you put all the games in front of me right now, I would grab 4. Because 4 is just...
4 is very replayable.
So much fun. But I think, like, in terms of, like, really getting into the world, 2 remake just... Not just... Talk about expectations. Vastly exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, high expectations.
Because that whole project was like, are they doing it? Oh, they are doing it. And then how much...
T-shirt review.
How much effort are they going to put into this? And I don't know. And, like... what's going to change or whatever. And like, there were performances in that was like, whoa, like that was legitimately like, I was really brought into, like, but the first police officer that he bumps into, just that first Marvin, yeah, like that. Oof.
The games have better acting and better scripts. Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
that being said, though, I just want to chime in, like, I had heard when the hype was first starting on the show, I was excited because I was like, okay, if it finally does happen, I mean, it's going to be brilliant, right? But disappointing to hear that it's not paying off.
Maybe next time. We'll see. I'm curious what Hubert will think by the end. Guess we'll have to wait. But maybe he's a little more forgiving. He likes the movies and stuff.
I could see him being in 2 parties at the same time. I could see him being like, well, yes, it's not good.
Yeah, that was like Kingsglaive when we saw it. I don't know if you guys were there, but... Terrible movie, but we had fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Damiani, I know this one you know very well. So I've been playing through Majora's Mask recently.
Nice.
It's been a long time since I've like beaten this game.
all right.
A very long time. So I've been going through the game again because you got that Switch Online. It's there now.
Yep.
I got the N64 controller. I'm like, finally, now
There
I can
you
play
go.
this thing.
Yep.
Cool.
I ain't playing
Enjoy
with I ain't playing with that Pro controller, dude. The C buttons, dude. Oh god.
Nope.
Man, surprise, this game's really good. Everyone knows that. Really good. It is very interesting, Damiani, the contrast between this and Ocarina of Time. And I think they're super different.
Yeah.
I think they have strengths and advantages in completely different fields. I think the biggest strength of Majora's Mask is its narrative and its side quests. I don't think the dungeons are very good in this game. I think they're okay. They're serviceable. But I know this game was made in a very short amount of time. So to me, it's impressive what they've done, but none of these dungeons stick out in my mind at all. I've beaten 3 of them so far.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. It's interesting because the last time seeing Majora's Mask was actually watching Hubert play through it a few years ago. His first ever playthrough through that game, and watching him like really like it because you mentioned the side quest. This game is also
it's the narrative,
heavily leads into like character NPC relationships and bonds.
Yes,
like so
many bonds.
It was adding a layer that was a little bit thin in Ocarina of Time. Like there are NPCs in Ocarina of Time. They're more like cartoon caricatures
they don't
than
get as
anything
deep.
substantive. Yeah, and this one you get some backstory, and some of them a lot of backstory on them, which is really nice because it makes you care about this world when the premise is you need to save this world. It's like, I mean, good versus evil, but then it's like, oh, this thing hits, everyone dies. Oh man, I like this person. Oh, they're gonna die. I actually kind of want to save the world this time. Dungeon wise though, to your question, I thought there were some like cool ideas in there. Structurally, they're definitely more about like they're less. They try and blend the atmosphere and like a core gimmick, but like I think they rely a little bit too heavily on a core gimmick versus like they're very super. Not superficial, but like just very surface level. Sorry,
yes.
Like themes, like it's like snow and ice again, or here's water, and here's like to me, I kind of valley and like a kind of castle part.
That's where I'm at. I'm at Icon Valley right now.
I don't want to go any further,
and that's my favorite part of the game.
So that was probably that was like the highlight because like going to like the swamp and like Deku Palace, and then going to the first dungeon, it was like, it's like okay, and like the boss fights,
boss is cool.
Boss fights are kind of cool.
The first 2 dungeon bosses are really cool. I think actually.
Yeah, the third one's one that definitely
fish?
rubs some
It's
people the
alright.
wrong way because there's also like the swimming controls, but it's cool. The game relies on like the different mass transformations to solve puzzles, so it's like a little bit of an evolution of the items, because items were always like, this is what you need to solve the dungeon. You got an item in here, and maybe some other items you got earlier will help out here and there, but it's like, yes, those are still play a role, but also like what form you're in. Like, oh, you need to like be heavier to go this, or you need to go into Deku form so you could skip across water to get over here. Like, it was just nice to like an extra layer that they added, and I think
that's
they made a good use of that. It's just shorter. It's like less dungeons.
It's a smaller. This game's big, but it's like it feels smaller.
I don't think they're quite as memorable.
No.
It's also because it's the second 3D game that came out just 2 years after, so you're really trying to compete with stuff like the Forest Temple. As much as you hated the Water Temple, like people still remembered it for its like frustrating stuff. Even like the Fire Temple, like
Spirit Temple.
they all had like really good music, really good like layouts. I felt like, and I mean, cool looking boss battles. If anything, I think maybe some of the Majora's ones are a little bit more like challenging, especially like just turning into a Goron and a roll after a goat or whatever. Like the robot goat thing, like running around Ram or whatever, was really cool. And then the one you'll see in the 4th dungeon, I'm curious.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember the boss.
Okay.
Yeah,
but like
this, like the giant worm
like
thing,
a kaiju worm fight, basically.
With the giant mask.
Yeah.
Like, I remember all that. I think it's cool. I think there's some good stuff. I just think the dungeons maybe themselves are a little too just basic, I guess. But I like the ice one, the idea of like, there's that center room, and there's
that's the
pillar
thing,
in the middle, and you kind of go up. I think that's cool. Don't get me wrong, I think these dungeons are still fine and cool, but I always picture OT or even like Twilight Princess and their dungeons.
Their layouts feel very like basic. And not literally like squares, but it feels like, there's like a central room. you do something in that central room, and then you're able to move into other things. The first one, the swamp one, it's like you can purify the poison water, so now you can go around the water, and it's like just 4 directions around that central room. Second one, it's like the ice room. Like there's multiple floors, but like you either go like north, south, east, west into any room along the multiple floors. The ocean one, the Great Bay Temple, it's like, oh, there's like currents. You can like make the current reverse. That's the central thing. And then there's like 4 like north, south, east, west are those. Like it kind of like 6. That's why the last dungeon I think is like the most unique because
Stone Tower.
Yeah, because you invert the thing, and it feels like a little bit more unique in that way. It doesn't feel like it's there's like you can go left or right, but then all of a sudden like when you flip it, oh wait, now I can go this way, and oh this room's they had to think about everything like inverted Castlevania style. Like it's like that's
I remember
nice.
having to play the ocarina a lot in that because you have to like make the
clones.
I remember that a lot, so I'll see how that is.
Yeah, Elegy of Emptiness.
I'm glad you brought it up earlier, but the masks. I think it's such a cool mechanic and so rad. We've never gotten anything like that ever again.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wolf Link was the
closest thing we got to it.
Yeah, but it wasn't just like transformation masks. It was like a lot of the other masks were used to like interact with NPCs and continue. Like they were either a reward for completing a side quest, which then could be used to complete other side quests. Like I think it was like the Bremen mask you get as a reward could then be used on the farm to like march with like the chickens. Behind
you use that. Yeah, and they hatch or make them grow. Yeah,
so like they did really cool things. Like all the like absurdities of it, like the alien invasion at the ranch, like repelling that attack.
So weird. Such a weird thing, but it works.
And missables. Like everything's running on a real-time clock. Well, like an in-game clock. Yeah. And you can like be too late to something, and like you gotta plan your stuff around it. And I understand why a time restriction was like a little bit like harsh for some people to deal with. I liked how it added an element of like just
tension,
tension to the world, and it also made the world feel a little bit more alive because NPCs were just moving
They're
throughout
on a path,
constantly.
you could follow them, and like just the idea of looking up and seeing the moon, slowly coming closer to you each day. It really added that sense of dread and, like you said, tension to this game.
Yeah. Definitely down the rabbit hole game in terms of design because it just feels very piecemeal. Everything doesn't really flow together very well. Like the Hyrule Field, like you literally go like north, south, east, west. It's like there's snow right here. All of a sudden, abruptly, here's like a wall, and then there's the sandy beach and ocean, and then like going south to like the swamp is like the most natural thing, and maybe east to like the but it's like so small and like sudden. I don't know. Like at least like Ocarina of Time is a little bit more basic, but like the geography flowed a little bit better. It didn't feel as like jarring or like oh man, like whoa, this just suddenly popped up here. That's weird.
Yeah, I guess. What's been really cool about this game is the strength is just the world, like you said, and the characters, and just, as the time ticks on the last day, people are freaking out, which is kind of interesting to see in like a Zelda. Like, obviously, Zelda games to me have had dark themes in most of them. Like people always think of, I guess, maybe Majora's Mask as the darkest Zelda. But like a lot of the Zelda games, I think, have really dark themes, but it's just been sick to hear them freaking out about it, or if someone's like accepting their death and just this very melancholy feel throughout this game. It's really powerful almost, I would say. I think this game is kind of a miracle that it turned out as good as it did.
Yeah.
When I think about how fast they made this game and like you hear about like Anuma talking about like the nightmares he had making this game. I think this is a special game and I totally get why people like rank it up as their favorite Zelda. I think, man, this is like a must play to me, to like anyone out there, especially if you like OOT or Zelda anyways. It's just like, you gotta play this freaking game, man. You have to play it.
It just shows how much further you can go with the Zelda type game.
Yeah.
Like doing a different premise, different world.
Yeah, like I like this. Do you really like that it's not about Ganon. It's not about anything like that. Not about the Triforce or anything like that. It's just a very weird kind of side thing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't explain, like, what Termina really is or anything like that.
They definitely, those turn out to be some of, like, the better ones for sure. Some of the best, actually. Like, doing this.
Yeah, because you like Link's Awakening and stuff.
Another one where it's like, Zelda is like, they can be viewed as a template and it can be applied. You don't always have to keep recreating Hyrule and doing like the same light dark dichotomy. Yeah. Like you literally can just go off and do different things. Like I know people like to like also champion the Oracle games. I think they're really good, but they still do kind of like the duality world thing as well, where you go like one's like season, so it's like a little bit more than two, but then Oracle Ages is time back and forth. But like Majora's Mask and Link's Awakening are just very unique in that way. And I think they really benefit from having like a different setting. It was kind of like when I'm like am still sort of hoping for like Breath of the Wild sequels. That, like we don't need to just stay literally in Hyrule. I mean, you could start there, but like I would love to see like new worlds, like because then you don't repeat some of the same old tropes. Like there's even superficial things. This is like same enemies, same dungeons, like same item types. It's like, be creative. Like I think that's like when Zelda can be like why people love Majora's Mask so much and why they like Link's Awakening, because the goofy crazy stuff people like seeing it. It just feels different.
I think this is one of the games that I did the most about face like while playing it, because Ocarina of Time is I think is the best game that anyone has ever made, and it was my first like I played Zelda 2. I kind of watched my brother get the farthest. I don't think we could ever like actually beat Zelda 2, but didn't get into the first game, didn't get into Link to the Past, didn't play Link's Awakening, and just like became obsessed. Even more than Mario 64, I was like, this game is incredible, and just kept replaying Ocarina of Time. And so like when Majora's Mask came out, I was like, just put the phone off the hook, man. Like this, I really got to make time for this. And like right away, Epona's gone. I was like, what? Huh? Yeah. And like they're like, yeah, this world you love, we're out. We're going to someplace else. And I think if I had known more about Link's Awakening, it wouldn't have been as jarring to me. But I was like, whoa, they're asking a lot for me to kind of absorb all this new stuff. And by the end, I was just like, amazing. Yeah. And I think, obviously it is like, the darkest, or one of the, the darkest, not only in just like kind of color palette and the themes, but just, the dealing with death and the idea of like, not only that last day, but like just that whole last moment of like every time this thing just crushes everybody. But like even just throwing a mask on and like, his eyes like get all crazy and like, the perspective really just kind of like gets jarring and just kind of like the like borderline Cronenberg aspect of just becoming these other beings, like the fly. I remember when I first got the when I became not the Goron but the Zora, I probably swam around for like a whole hour. I was like, swimming. This is great. It was just so
not nerfed version Damiani.
Yeah. So unusual for me in playing adventure games or playing action adventure games like that. But like even just everything that I had done in Ocarina of Time and just constantly surprising me, being like, this wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm loving this.
Yeah. I think that's like what everyone kind of was like when they played this game the first time. I didn't expect this.
And I love open world, and but like even today, open worlds just kind of go by. Like, there's a person there, but they're not doing anything. And so this like just watching clock down tick, and like watching, seeing a person go by and being like, I know what you're gonna do tomorrow.
It's so
before
cool
Groundhog Day.
Together.
I fell in love with that.
A few questions about it. Tarttooth said, Majora's Mask is one of my favorite. It was one of the few Zelda games I've yet to finish. The time limit stressed me out. What makes it great, and why should I give it another chance? What do you think, Damiani? As our Zelda expert.
I think we talked about why we think it made it great.
Yes.
But and if you did miss it, there is technically a way to slow down time.
Yes,
Inverted Song of Time will help you out a lot. Think of it for maybe newer gamers who are in the vein of like Japanese games. I'm assuming you've played Persona games, then maybe not this listener, reader, or viewer, but those games are also about like maybe just you don't try and do everything in like a day. Like when you go to a dungeon like Tartarus, it's like figure out a goal, hit that goal, save, get out and save.
Redo it,
Or that's Majora's Mask. I think that was a little bit more difficult because the Zelda games were never ever about that.
Right.
So it took some time to adjust where it's like maybe you don't have to finish a dungeon. Like I would say a first good goal of a dungeon is to get the dungeon item. That will carry over with you even if you have to reset the dungeon, reset the cycle, and then your progress in the dungeon reset. But if you have that item, it's like, I can just go right back there really quickly.
Really easy, Yeah,
and
they make it pretty easy.
And when you beat a boss, it's like, sure, it changes the dynamics of the area, but you get the mask. Like that's really the key thing. So if you want to do some other side quest, you can always reset the clock and go right to fighting the boss again to advance the area's geography choreography to change post like the boss
Yeah.
defeated, or you can just move on. So
Yeah.
like I think it's just measured goals that you're trying to hit. Like scout an area, enjoy, like just explore, have some fun, and then when you think you're running out of time, like if you like you've been told about something and you don't think you're gonna be able to make it, just remember where that is, go back and try it again.
Yeah.
Like but I get it. I understand why
I think
that. And
Majora's Mask kind of puts out this more intimidating feel than what it really is. Almost like
Yeah.
it tells you about all these things. Like, you got 3 days. Here's how saving works. It's a little different, and it can feel overwhelming at first, but like, it's really not that bad once you dive into it, and it's pretty forgiving.
or jump into the 3DS version if you want like a more forgivable save system.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah, and it
it's
like,
definitely more
keeps
lenient.
track of stuff a little easier.
It's a little bit more
totally.
lenient, and it's some accessibility stuff thrown in there, especially like the watered Great Bay Temple, like Ocean Bay Temple. Like it has things added to it to
Yeah.
make it a little bit more easier to process.
And don't look at the end of, the 3-day cycle as like a fail state.
Right.
It's not like, oh, you didn't do it right. I love in Dead Rising when you like miss a main quest, like it goes like the next time you bring up like the story or the menu screen, it's like fail.
Yeah.
Like, all these like red blocks appear and they're like, you suck. And you're just like, all right, I guess
I gotta do the next playthrough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be worse.
That's like part of it is like seeing how this, like kind of, rebooting like Russian Doll, like Happy Death Day or whatever, where you like snap out of your death and like, okay, I got to hit the ground running now because I've learned, what I can do. And you do get better at it as it goes on. I think having that cycle, even if it's not scheduled to happen or the natural flow of like, oh, I did the thing and now I'm going to, pick up naturally where I left off. I thought that was a huge part of it was like, oops.
Yep.
The clock kind of ran away from me. It just kind of shows, how quick even, it doesn't seem like it will. Those 3 days can go by and what that means for everybody.
Yeah, I think there's a way if they ever want to revisit the concept to go forward with like removing like the hard restriction where like maybe everyone's on a schedule. So if you like do miss a day, the day will repeat, but like your overall progress isn't like deterred. Like there's no like 3-day reset of the whole cycle versus like I like the aspect,
Or like you don't lose your items.
So that's like a tension thing, but like you don't lose your stuff. I liked more about how it made the world feel alive because characters were moving around and had like schedules. And other games have since like incorporated that, and I'd like to see Zelda do that again, where it's like, I mean, it's kind of limited like day or night, but like it'd be like if it was more granular like that, by like maybe hour to hour, someone was like moving, or you weren't there on this day of the week, you missed out on this event. Well, it'll be back in like 20 Earth, like our minutes, 20 minutes, but like in game, it's like, well, wait 20 minutes, you can come back and try this again. Like, something like that. That's like a better balance of that tension and that restriction.
Jonathan Hernandez says Majora's Mask is sweet because even though it is largely reused assets, it has a completely different vibe and story compared to Ocarina of Time. What games would you like to see have something like that done? We thought that's what Breath of the Wild sequel was going to be, Damiani, pretty much, and it seems like it's going to be more ambitious than we thought.
Yeah. When they were making that game out to be like, oh, we already have this foundation built, we have these assets in place. It's like, okay, well, maybe we're gonna see like a lot of people, not just us, like a lot of people jump to like, oh, this will be like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask type movement here, but we've still yet to see if that's really the case or not.
I know, because we don't have many other examples to go off, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, not that it's for different reasons, but like, we never got like Super Mario Brothers 2, the real one here right away. We got like the
Doki Doki.
Yeah, the localization of Doki Doki Panic is Super Mario Brothers 2 USA, which was like a bit of a change from Mario 1 to Mario 2.
Just like Zelda 2.
Yeah, I mean Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, like they went in a different direction from being
Castlevania 1 to Castlevania 2.
I mean, a lot of the early things, like they weren't, because these weren't envisioned as series just yet. They were just trying to make follow-up games. Even like Castlevania 3, like going with the different like playable characters and paths. It's like these things start like evolving and went in different directions before they finally found their footing. I mean, I think Castlevania is one of the more unique ones, like for the first few years, like going through those changes, because like I think it culminated with like Symphony of the Night, like going like to like the second half of the Metroidvania equation. It's like, and then from there we've now had like all our standard templates of like Castlevania games. Whereas Zelda, I think by like A Link to the Past, like Link's Awakening, like they had their 2D footing, and then like everything from Ocarina of Time onward has been pretty much the same until Breath of the Wild came out, which was like first one to really shake
it in a long
things
time.
up a bit. Yeah.
In terms of games I'd like to see like this, I kind of wish we got like a Mario Odyssey follow-up that was like this, maybe. Like, I don't think it's fair to say maybe Mario Galaxy 2 was maybe a little more than, like, you know, you're not seeing, I can't remember, but you're not, like, seeing a lot of the same NPCs and stuff like that. They're completely different games, so it could be hard to compare them. But, like, I don't know, I could see, like, a Resident Evil game doing this. I guess they kind of do with, like, 2 and 3. But, sure, man, why not?
Speaking of 64, I just remember every article I'd read about Perfect Dark, and they're like, we're doing 10,000 new things, which is why it's taking so long. I was just like, just make a crappy GoldenEye 2. Just literally make a bad game,
Yeah.
but just give me more
Yeah.
of this right now because I want it. So the idea of, I mean, like, especially in this day and age, the idea of getting a true Zelda sequel 2 years after the last one is like,
Yeah,
you know,
doesn't seem possible.
I'll take something that's even kind of 75% of the original package.
Yeah, almost because the heart of this also like come out like reason stuff to come out like in a short time. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm trying to like remember things that did this or things that but things I'd like to see.
You know what I'd like to see? Wave Race. You could literally just reuse the assets from Blue Storm. I don't care.
I love
Make them
this.
HD. Same mechanics, same feel, whatever.
I absolutely love this.
Yeah. Keep it cheap. I don't care.
It could literally be another. I mean, you could pull that same whatever they're running that 64 engine on. It's the
Yeah.
exact same thing, just more levels.
Yeah,
Same
Turquoise
game.
Storm or something. I don't
Same
know.
water physics, everything.
Well, that's what's like so frustrating about PT is just, it's another one of those examples of like they showed you the thing, you did it, just make another whoa, you know, and like all these like indie companies are like, we'll do it, I guess.
Yeah.
If nobody's, it's like just another hallway, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to be PT.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a huge
Yeah.
thing. Like you can have some kind of episodic series or something. Like you don't have to make this massive thing.
Could have done something like that back in the day with like Super Mario 60 because I know it's just a Galaxy 2. Like could have like maybe like
That's a better example.
Get away from like the castle and like do something like different
Just a
for like
different
a
world.
hub or something like Bowser's Castle or I don't know like something else and like
That could have been sick.
yeah just like make new crazy goofy levels that were just that could have had the same vibe where it's just,
Yeah.
like weird and different from like the predecessor.
Yeah.
It's like Majora's Mask. Like even reusing assets, the world looks so unique and like
It does.
like
it does.
otherworldly compared to Hyrule.
It does.
Yeah.
It sure does. You're right. Like just the NPCs are like the same. You know,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've seen this person like 5 times.
Well, yeah, all the assets were used is like did like different coloring on like the textures
Mm-hmm.
or the models to like make it look very like foreign compared to
Yeah.
Hyrule.
Yeah. But I guess with Majora, they just expanded on a lot of the stuff that OOT was kind of lacking in. Like swimming is a huge example.
Yeah,
of that.
I also imagine. Sorry, like I don't have all the interviews memorized and stuff, but like what I would wager and what I sort of remember is that like a lot of like unused concepts made it into
Sure.
it into there as
Yeah.
well. Obviously, some things that didn't make it into that also didn't make it into Majora's Mask. Like I know for specifically horseback combat didn't make it into either one.
Yeah.
it did make it into
Twilight.
Princess eventually. But yeah, I'm sure they're like things they wanted to do. Like I remember like with the 64 DD, they wanted to do like expansion
right.
stuff with Ocarina of Time. I
Right,
imagine
right,
some
right,
of that got reworked into
Yeah.
Majora as well.
Yeah. This is from Stomps, our good buddy Stomps,
Yeah.
Damiani. Said, what up? I found the zones and dungeons in Majora's Mask to not only be challenging, but also generally unwelcoming, as they were filled with intentionally unpleasant visuals and unsettling music. I think it suits the game and could be great for me if I'm in the right mood for a gritty Zelda game. You know, this does have some unsettling music kind of constantly throughout this game. I was at the Great Bay, and I was like, this is like not jolly beach music at all.
Yeah.
There's like some steel drums kind of in there to give you that beach vibe, but it's like not pleasant.
Yeah, they all have like a same variation on the music, like the sad theme or whatever, until you defeat the dungeon, and
Yes.
then you get more like a better
Winter
tune,
turns
yeah.
to spring, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get better music, happier music, upbeat music. But yeah, like I do agree with that. Like they are meant to be. It's a little bit more involved than Ocarina, because Ocarina, yes, you did go to an area, you had to figure out a way to get to the dungeon, but it was very basic. This had a little bit more activity involved, especially a lot like gathering the eggs in in the Great Bay.
Yep.
And then also what you're doing in Icona, like having to go through Icona Castle, which is you think is a dungeon. It's not it's like a mini dungeon. Also the well below it, it's like that's a little bit more tedious, but stuff like that where it's like a bit of an ordeal just to reach the dungeon. Was like a concept that kind of like came to fruition and matured in Majora's Mask.
The second part of the question, they said, "Well, would you be happy with something like this out of Breath of the Wild sequel, or do you think you would prefer something a bit more upbeat and vibrant?" Breath of the Wild is like, believe it or not, it's a post-apocalyptic game where a lot of stuff went wrong. There's a lot of death in that game.
A lot of ruins.
But yeah, I think Zelda will always have a dark element and always a upbeat element. They always just mix the two. They have for a long time.
Yeah. It was kind of an involved quest line for each of the divine beasts.
Yeah.
Like culminating with those like kind of like mini game like sequences to unlock each of the divine beasts. Those were hit or miss for me personally. Don't know if I need those things maybe to come back so much as like, yeah, maybe just like just the story, like the element like going to like Gerudo Town and like actually interacting with like all the characters and like having to figure out like, okay, do some investigative work here. It's actually like a little bit more like laid back. And like you get to know the town, the characters and stuff like that, and eventually like one leads you out to the dungeon or something like that's a thing I've always like wanted. So it doesn't need to be so uninviting and down like just a downer per se, so much as like I just want areas segments leading up to a dungeon just to feel very meaningful and not just like filler, like I just got to get over this to get to the dungeon. Like I was like, no, I enjoyed doing this part. Actually,
yeah, I agree.
Felt rewarding.
I'm curious to see the next like evolution of the Blood Moon concept. Like maybe you could do like a Castlevania 2, like where it's like, oh no, now knights are a little harder to deal with. There's a lot more going on out there. Yeah, so when the world kind of gets into a certain phase, or depending on what area you're in, you have to decide like, oh, do I want to wait to get through here? Yeah. Or do I want to specifically go in there when everything is dark and bad? Yeah. To finish some quest or get some item.
Yeah.
Jones, me and Damiani have rambled about Zelda enough. So talk to me about V Rising.
V Rising. What do you think V Rising is about?
I mean, if I hear the phrase V Rising, I want to say Metal Gear, but
right.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you looked up anything?
Oh, I know what this game is. Yeah,
Don, what do you think V Rising is about?
I know nothing about this game. Please tell me about.
What do you think? Just a guess.
I'm guessing old sci-fi. The old sci-fi series V. They're bringing it back. Is that what it is, Jones? Please tell me.
Vampires.
Dang it.
Vampires is the V in V. I don't know why you wouldn't call it Vampire Rising or whatever, but this is where we're going to get back to the Valheim conversation. So this is a survival game in the smacking trees. Killing dudes as a vampire and taking as much leather as you can get and like bringing it back and building up your base. Not a lot of defense stuff. So it's really, your base is just like really like a factory. Like you really, want to set that up so you can, craft better, armor and craft better weapons and stuff and like get new abilities. But I was initially attracted to it just because some friends recommended it that were like, really into, speaking of creepy worlds, but just really into, just kind of like, dark World of Darkness type stuff and, to begin with. And you are like the underdog vampire warlord in this world where, vampires got wiped out almost, and you like wake up in a crypt, you have nothing, you're just like fighting rats and like other undead with just like, whatever you can find. Then you get out of there and you get your like beating heart of your castle. You have this thing that you like keep getting like blood essences from everything you kill, and then you literally like funnel it into this thing, and it lets you know like how long it's gonna take until like it's drained all of this blood essence, and then your blood essence powers everything. And so you keep having to like, you got to get out into that world, and you first start out. Interview the vampire style, just literally grabbing rats.
Cool.
To now I can like actually go after bigger animals, or now I can actually like, it's fun to just, even if I don't necessarily like need supplies, just to see some patrol of like 3 guys like with lanterns, like, oh, we're out at night. Like, cool. Sorry guys, you just kind of like ghost form like into the into the 3 of you and wipe everybody out. Or like you see a camp and like had a point where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm confident enough to go into a camp to be taken out. And if you get wiped out, you just, kind of maybe like lose some items and go back to start back at your base. But getting strong enough to the point where like, wait, I think I can take out a camp, and I just love being the bad guy. Love just like, oh no, taking out some guys patrolling. But then even past that, like the thing I just did this morning that I hadn't done yet, where I'm like, just want to give myself a refresher on like how all of these systems work. When you build one thing I can't remember the name of in your base, it lets you know if like strong, like specific, like like one was like the alpha wolf was the first one that you take out. So there's like, once you can track these things through this thing you build in your base, you'll have this weird kind of blood cloud that's like, it's just kind of over here in this area, and then you'll find it like a little mini boss and take that thing out. And then I got the wolf form from killing the alpha wolf, and so now I can run a little bit faster when I'm just like running through the world.
Nice.
And so even though obviously, having a cooler castle and having better weapons is like a clear ladder that you are climbing, it's kind of nice to have these things that you just want to kill to get these abilities anyway. And so gameplay wise, it's very Diablo. Like it's very,
it's like isometric, right?
You are top down constantly. And so you're like a little bit more platforming than you would have in something like Diablo. So it's kind of fun to like leap off of, ledges and have like a quick like dash attack, and have various just little like platform or traversal abilities that you get. But I just get, just like Valheim, I just get hooked by worlds like this, especially when you like really start building your base. One thing that I didn't like, which is different from something like Valheim, is like you can just set up ground anywhere. Like you're just kind of like, oh, this hill is nice, this view I dig, so I'm just gonna knock out these trees. Yeah. Where like I did get confused right away, where they're like, okay, time to build your base. I'm like, where? And so like you set down your little heart thing, and then that sets up, like your castle is kind of stemmed around that, and all things need to be the more you level that up, you can literally see like, oh, I can build my walls a little further out. And it took me a second to be like, where can I lay this thing down? Because I would just go into build mode and it would be like red, like, no, you can't put it anywhere here. And so the more you read the map and the more you can see, it's like, there are these little boxed out areas that very specifically are, designed. And there's not just one, like you kind of get some options in the first area. And compared to something like Valheim, where like you can like really get creative, same thing with Minecraft, you can like, you really just have the base building blocks of like how this works. And so you can kind of dig in any direction where you want to and make some really crazy structures. It is a little more rigid in terms of like you are building a vampire castle. Like it's not, like there's not, thematically you can't, kind of but can move outside of that.
Can you build it pretty? Do you have like a lot of freedom in building it though? Like yes, you are building a vampire castle, but you could be like, I want my layout to be like this.
Yeah, I want my staircase to be over here. Or I want like I'm at the point now where I can build a second floor if I want to, but I'm like, nah, I really just kind of want to take up this whole area, and I'm more interested in like getting power-ups and exploring the world. But like, yeah, Don was just running the trailer, and like there are clearly some. I just noticed this morning, like, I'm like, oh, I got my skill tree, and then I noticed when I was replaying it, like, oh, this is one of like 5. Like there are a lot of crazy abilities that you get, and I think it's still in early access.
Yes, I believe it is
$20, and so even just putting like 10, 12 hours into it, I am. There's so much more that you can potentially do. I don't know if there's like a wall that I hit, or like what the content block is on how the early access works. But whenever I hit map, I have to zoom in really far because it brings up the map, and I'm like, I haven't even scratched the surface of this area. And it could be a little cumbersome in that like, I would finish the quests I was trying to do, or like the quote unquote quests are very finish this thing and then you will unlock this tier, unlock this ability to build this bench where you can now build this thing or expand your base. And so it's not so much like I'm going after a specific group or there's a character that I need to talk to. It's like all very rooted in like need the bone knife. So I'm doing this thing to like get that one extra like upgrade. So if you're looking for a very story heavy thing, like it is very rooted in just your survival.
Just the gameplay.
The next tier of the tool that I will have to get stronger. But I love that. But there were moments where I would like go and finally I got that last piece of leather. Okay, I got to get back to my base, and it's just like I wish I built my base over here, because then it would, if I fast travel to this one fast travel point, then it would be easier to get to get back to my base. But it's that slow burn that if a lot of people, you enjoy that kind of like day-night cycle. And speaking of, obviously, it comes into play with you being a vampire. So
can't go out in the day.
You can go out in the day, but you just got it. Like when you step into the sunlight, everything kind of, like gets like red, and then you take damage, and then like.
Can you get anything to help you against that?
At your base, you can set up little braziers that will like
block
bring
the
in the
sun.
darkness, and
Oh,
like
okay.
now I don't have to worry about that when I get back to my base.
Cool.
But it's kind of fun when you're desperate right away, where you're like, and you can sleep in real time. So if you're like doing something else at your desk, you can specifically see the clock of like the dark hours versus the light hours, and so you can just like go back, put yourself in your crypt, heal when you're there, and just like. Let the clock run out and go like listen to a podcast or something, and then come back. Or you can like just go tree to tree, like finding, which is tough because you have to, you're harvesting the stuff, but it creates more open areas that you can get beat up by sunlight. And there were definitely some times I got taken out. So you can manage those things, but if you are impatient and you just like want to treat the day like the night, you got to be a little careful about how you're exposed.
I might have missed, but like. Combat's a part of this game for sure.
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of weapons are you using? You got, like, I assume, like, a sword. You got anything different like that?
I was a fan of the dual axes. That was my
Okay.
fan. There's more kind of like spin attacks, and it's easier to like switch targets. But
No bow?
I can't. No, I got like a ranged like
Spell or
blood
something?
pulse thing
Okay, that's
that I
cool.
can do. But not a lot of ranged weapons. It's more abilities. So yeah, it's primarily melee focused, and it's a lot about. Get in, get out, so there's a lot of like, there's a huge bear that's got a big like AoE attack, and it like it revs it up pretty obviously, and so you really have to like put yourself in harm's way if you want to take those risks, for every blow. But it was pretty easy for me to discern what was like too difficult of a target. I'm an idiot and like put my base where there's this huge like kind of like treant thing like marching around in front of my base, and so like every time I go back I gotta like wait until it turns away and then like run past it. Why did I build my base here? And if I really wanted to, I can just scrap everything and like move over to another location and set up a base pretty easily. But admittedly I have not put like a ton of time into it, but it looks pretty dense for like an early access game, and it's just really it reminds me a little bit of Legacy of Kain. And that it's fun playing this like tortured like undead thing that's been asleep for so long. So you're like coming back to this world that like does not know that like really vampires exist, and so it's just fun like to catch things off guard, and when you get to a point where you are stronger to like go back into the world and like make the world. Punish the world,
cool.
for its indifference against the undead, and to just to be like, there's no way to play a good person. There's no way to be like the nice vampire.
Yeah.
Like you are clearly a monster that this world hates. And,
fun.
And so it's fun, to just go through this like quaint fantasy world, or going to big, as I was seeing in the trailer, like big castle structures, and just like run away, just run in. Waste dudes. Or there's a feeding mechanic where depending on the type of like class of thing or type of animal that you feed on, you get attributes from that one specific thing. So if you choose just to feed on a particular, like all I'm doing is feeding on rogues right now, so I can build up this like temporary skill tree.
That's funny.
And then the moment you
That's sick.
Feed on something else, you like start a new kind of building of that that type of blood. But that's like a very deliberate thing you have to do. So like once you whittle something down to like 20% health, I think, then you. But it reminds me of, you don't actually like bite it. It's very like Legacy of Kain, where like you're drawing the blood, as, the blood out of it. So yeah, if you love all of that, Vampire the Masquerade or Legacy of Kain. It's just fun. It's fun being the bad guy. I usually like these worlds because I like to play the good guy and like the paladin smiting the evil. I had some friends that always play the bad guy that were like, yo, V Rising. And the big thing is you can go into another person's world, kind of like Animal Crossing, to see what's going on. You can help them with their gains, but like I think you take money back, but I don't know if you take a lot of the
right,
maybe supplies. But You can also, one person can set up a server, and then we are all,
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
gang of vampires. And I think it's like up to 8 or something. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
that's a
like
good amount.
6 or
Yeah.
8. But that is like clearly the way to do it, because you're all, one person can be doing something at the base, and another person, a couple more can be going on and like harvesting and bringing it back. So yeah, it definitely got its hooks in me. I think it was just kind of the tediousness of actually running through the world, because I generally don't gravitate toward top-down stuff unless it's like Diablo, where it's like I went to that dungeon, I ran it, done. Where this is more exploring, and I like to see the sky,
like Valheim.
Yeah, I like to have witness more of the world, so I can fall in love with zones.
Yeah, I think that's
where
fair.
like I spent so many hours just in like a forest, so
Yeah.
kind of took away from the exploration a little bit, but
Yeah, it sounds sick.
a lot to it, a lot of systems, a lot going on that you can explore.
I have it. I just haven't played it yet, but it looks awesome. Damn, like being a vampire, that's just fun. I thought we'd try out a segment today. I'm gonna call it Sort It Out. Sort It Out. Ooh. I just want you, it's just a very basic thing. What's something that annoys you about video games? Could be a game mechanic, could be the ecosystem of a game, anything like that. I was thinking about this today, and I'm mad that I can't just buy some of these games, like Nintendo Switch Online. The only way I could play these games is to be a subscriber. The only way to play Resident Evil Director's Cut here was to be the subscriber at the highest tier. But you could buy some of the other games. I could buy Wild Arms, which is sick. I love that. But I couldn't buy Director's Cut. I was like, just let me buy the game, man. Just let me do it. I understand why they're doing it, but it just pisses me off that I can't just buy this game. What about you boys?
Shout out to Hot Wheels in Forza, because I jumped in, I heard about this and was like, oh, clearly this is something I'm going to enjoy. And then went in, and it was like, you got to have the premium version of Forza. But it was only to play it now. It was only like an early access, and so when I went in and saw the Hot Wheels on the map, I'm like, I've seen people playing this on Twitter. Why can't I check this out? And I was like, oh, it comes out in like 2 days. Oh, I'll just play in 2 days. It was like, that was an easy decision for me to make. But I could see some people, it makes sense, the business model, because it is, so it's like just one of the darlings of Game Pass. I could see people having Game Pass, getting into it, and they're like, oh, but I want to play this Hot Wheels stuff. And it's like, you gotta, like that amazing value of Game Pass has got to end somewhere, and we have to entice you to, to spend more money in some way. But yeah, it does suck and it's kind of confusing where you hear about this stuff being advertised, and then it's like, oh, okay, I don't have the time really. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a value or not. I just don't have that much time to explore all of the things going on in this service. So yeah, I'm with you.
Unskippable cutscenes, especially on a game.
Resident Evil 7, dude.
Where you got to replay, and you can't skip the cutscene. It's like, wait, why? I already completed this. Like, I get like, okay, creator's intent. You want me to enjoy this? Like, sure, force me the first time, but
yeah,
if you've completed a game,
annoying.
it absolutely should let you skip cutscenes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super annoying. Yeah. Dawn, what's something that annoys you about games?
I don't know. Something that popped into my mind. This is maybe an old gripe, but just anything that's grabbing a user agreement, you got to check off at the beginning. Having Uplay, any kind of third, some kind of app or some kind of thing that's interfering with the game or even interacting in any way, drives me up a wall. Makes me very nervous for the future when I turn this thing on. Is this thing even going to work anymore? Can I log in? I don't know what's happening. I don't like that at all.
One of the reasons that just games being cryptic about something that they're like showing me, and not in like a fun kind of like mystery kind of way. I remember one of the things that I complained about when I was playing Persona 5 was just like messy desk in your room, and I'm like, clearly this is going to be something. What is this? And like, it'd be one thing if like the character of the game was like, you can't access this, but you will later on, or like it's counting down to the point where you can use that, or clearly this hasn't happened yet before you do it. But like, when it kind of reminds me too of like there's some even stuff, arbitrary stuff in Spider-Man where I'm like, I know that this is a thing in the game. I know I can do it. Why can't I do it right away? And it's like, oh, just because haven't done mission 8. Like, just like let me know that I'm getting close to that, or let me, so I can not anticipate it, or not, feel that the experience that I'm having is missing out in some way because I'm staring at this thing that I know that I can do, and it sounds neat. Yeah, that can be frustrating.
I almost brought this up, but I was like, nah, I've complained about this too much. It's on a cooldown is Nintendo achievements. I feel like I've been complaining about this for 5 years. Like, Damiani's just face palming because he knows I always
This is
complain
so
about this
funny.
shit.
This is funny, Brad. You know why?
Why?
I am so happy Nintendo has not
Oh,
added
Don!
achievements, and I hope they never do.
Don, no! Why?
They
I
do
hate
it in
achievements. I don't want.
individual
Nintendo
Just
doesn't
for
need
fun,
them. They
Brad.
don't need them, do they, Damiani? Do they really need the?
They put them in their individual games. I think the thing that they could lean on is they have the platinum
Yes.
coin system because they already have like Nintendo account like missions. They're called missions. Sorry, that you can complete, and there's like 4 each week you can do. But it'd be cool if they like tied that into like your system because it's kind of like what PlayStation's doing with PlayStation Stars, where it's like, hey, you do this in the game, like whatever achievement. It doesn't have to be a bunch of achievements, but like 1 or 2 things in a game you accomplish, give you some platinum coins would be like nice.
You're like, what if it's like, you're playing Zelda or whatever. You got all the achievements in that game. You get a unique avatar or something. Like, I think about...
There were themes?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You get, like, the theme or something if you get a platinum or you beat the game. Something sick like that. Nintendo, damn it. You have such potential.
I don't even give you like themes on the Switch. Like 3DS had themes.
Themes, yeah.
Man, they had so many themes on 3DS. It was great. Now Switch is like, do you want light or dark mode?
It's like PS4. Yeah.
Achievements are funny because every now and then they get me. Like I really want to do it if I, but it's funny. Like there's some games I totally fall in love with, and I'm just like, maybe it's just the quality of them or like a specific genres that it really plays to. But I don't think there were achievements for PowerWash Simulator when it was in early access, and I think they added them because there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, wait, I've done that, but it's like a performative thing.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, get to this level or finish these levels. It's like, do this while you're doing the level. And so I'll see, I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever. No interest. I'm not going to go back and clean that whole backyard again just to get that one thing. I'm good. For as obsessed as I am with that game and willing to do stuff that, is could be deemed very monotonous by your average player.
Yeah.
Still not willing to go back.
Sort it out. All right. You boys ready for some emails?
Yep.
This is from Mirko. Hello, allies. With all the summer's game announcements, it's crazy how much video games have evolved. But what are some things in gaming that you had rather not seen evolve? I'm talking about small nitpicky things. I, for one, love when a shooter has actual health packs instead of health regen. We've gotten most of the time these days. Also, the use of L2 and R2 for the brake and gas in racing games is something that never clicked for me. First world problems, I know, but they quickly become the new standards in games, and I never understood it. Do any of you allies have small nitpicks like this as well? Love and respect from Belgium, Mirko. DLC is something that super annoys me. One thing I thought of immediately, Damiani, is this trend I feel like with some Nintendo games is their games coming out and not feeling content complete.
Oh, yeah. That feels like more than a small nitpick, though.
I know, but it's not a small nitpick, I guess, but that's just something that popped in my mind.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Especially their sports games.
Golf,
and, like, really,
Wii Sports, or whatever it's called.
I mean, we just had Strikers get, like,
the new
announced
course.
its first free one, but it's like, it feels like this is stuff that needed to be in the game when people buy and purchase the original game. They want to play it right then and there. Not everyone wants the slow burn of updates. Like, it's this weird, like, it's not even like a full commitment from Nintendo either. It's not like here's a content roadmap with clearly they don't even tell you out of the gate. Like most of these other content roadmaps, like even like Sunbreak right now, it's like here's like through the next year are updates with like Windows. Nintendo's like we got like 3 more Mario Kart tracks coming out or packs or whatever, and they have an end date, but like they'll show up when they show up, and like this, it's like they don't like being specific, and like people, I think it makes it harder for people to like know if they want to commit to that and if they're gonna enjoy it. So like most people, I think, just want to play the game. If there's any DLC, be there right away. Just rip that Band-Aid off. Okay, there's extra stuff you gotta buy or you gotta play for afterwards, but I've never been a fan of having to wait a long time, like more than a month, for any kind of additional content for especially for single player games.
And especially if it's not like substantial.
Yeah.
Like Wii Sports, they added like another mini game when there was only 6 before.
Like it's that stuff's. I hate that. I don't really like that.
Why are you doing that?
But I think that's like a big issue with the Nintendo's like sports games. Yeah.
What about Joe? Is there anything like, the trends that you don't like? The vault?
Oh gosh,
Just the idea of like,
Yes.
it's back.
Oh,
it's
my
out of
God.
the vault.
The
You're
Disney
like,
vault.
Oh, cool. Okay. And like,
Yes.
going back in the vault, like the McRib,
Oh,
just,
man, that's funny.
It's out. And yeah, I've seen this a lot. I have not played the beginning of Destiny 2, but I haven't played this. But there's like really conflicting opinions from the community where like people actually understand why Bungie's doing that. And a lot of people are like really frustrated by it. They're like, I bought this thing, but like now it's not there anymore for reasons that don't make sense from a, maybe a lore standpoint or just from like a world building standpoint. But at the same time, it's like, I totally get it because you want to create this kind of like artificial interest in stuff. They got me on 4th of July when I was playing all the indie stuff and they were like, Captain America's back. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. No. I like don't really even like the character model and that much. And it's just not,
But
not
you love
somebody
Cap.
that gravitated towards, but it's just literally it's 4th of July and Cap's there.
He's
like,
back. It's
America.
That
I'm like,
sense of
Cap,
urgency,
no,
yeah.
No.
Smart. Don, what about you? Anything? Anything, Lil, that bugs you?
Nothing I can really pops into my
Bless
mind
you, Don.
that much.
Bless
Yeah,
you.
it's
Good man.
Thinking everything's moving in the right direction.
Okay. This is from Tommy Lee. The second half of October is stacked. Hypothetically, Blood couldn't get any codes for those games. Which is your individual number one purchase priority from among them? Your answers can overlap.
Okay.
Why you guys think I'll bring up a list?
Oh, Gotham Knights. No way I'm not playing Gotham Knights.
Oh, Gotham Knights.
Forget about it.
Midnight Suns is that month.
Although Gotham
think.
Knights ahead of Midnight Sun for sure.
Yeah, it's probably between Mario and Rabbids and Bayonetta 3.
Yeah, this IGN list is outdated.
And the other only one there I'm interested in playing, but might come last, is the new Star Ocean's also dropping.
Oh my god, are you serious? That's same
that's
day.
also
Dude.
October.
Oh my god, like Plague Tale's coming out.
Yeah, Plague Tale 2.
Requiem.
Ooh.
Scorn is finally coming out.
Yeah, Scorn.
I actually started Plague Tales on my PS5 right now.
Oh, nice.
I think that was just a game I had for some reason, and I'm like, that seems up my alley. So I'm about half an hour through that and enjoying it.
Reverse is coming out in October, Damiani.
finally.
So yeah,
Talk about anticipating.
believe it when
Talk
it
about waiting a long
happens.
time.
Yeah, believe it when I see it.
Man, I actually think Plague Tale might be the one I'm most hyped for. I really liked the first game. I think it had some rough edges, but I really liked it. And this
I'm digging
one
it.
Seems like a huge step up.
Very emotional opening to that game.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, big time.
Very dramatic. I mean, it's just like a story, an opening to a game I've seen so many times where it's just like, okay, here's your character, here are your protagonists and the people that they care about, and now everything's terrible. And like, but it's just the way it's done and, the way everything is handled, script-wise and world-building-wise. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Jeez.
digging it so far.
This is from Riki. Said PS Plus hitting cost. Hey, Brad and crew. Since the launch of the new PlayStation Plus, I've been stubbornly resisting the temptation to subscribe and expand my gaming catalog in favor of maintaining a constant focus and appreciation for the myriad of titles already at my disposal, one game at a time. Speaking from personal experience, I know just how difficult it is these days to devote yourself to a game given the deluge of media bombarding us from every angle. I have no doubt that the subscription to this service would only exacerbate things for me, with a constant gnawing feeling that I should be getting my money's worth by sampling something else the service has to offer. Is it possible that the value for money offered by PlayStation Plus could come at the cost of personal investment with any individual game? All the best from Scott and Riki. So I guess the idea of like not having this and just focusing on what you got, or
That you are discovering a strength in yourself.
Yes.
That is going to help you in many things in life. That is incredible that you can do that, especially if you're in any way attracted to it. I think the main, speaking of retirement, Brad, this is like something where I really looked ahead at the next year. I'm like, what do I want to play? And like, not having to do this for a podcast or not having to do this for review or coming up in a group stream or, I can definitely step back and be like, okay, that looks interesting. Something like Midnight Suns. That looks interesting, but I can wait. I heard the sentiment a lot on the podcast over the years. They're like, hit me with a sale and now we're talking. And like, okay, yeah, that might seem like a good time to do it. Playing Rabbids however many years later, it's like still holds up because it's still the sequel still hasn't come out yet. And so, yeah, there is... It's something like a streaming package, like can seem, or something like a pay for a Game Pass and then get all of this stuff can seem very attractive. But even just like the PS1 stuff that I went back, like Jumping Flash, I loved so much in the PS1 and like jumped into it and I was like, literally jumped in. And I'm like, oh yeah, the nostalgia, and like I lasted 10 minutes and just out. This is not something I'm really going to invest in, and so I think there is a kind of a glint in your eye to a potential, like wow, look at all of the stuff that's available into it that I can just check out, but like your actual value that you'll get out of it, you're not really going to know until. You fork out that cash, and then it can be really easy to like the next month be like, oh, did I get your? Oh yeah, I still have that. Well, it's only that much money. It's like if you can hold off, good for you. Focus on that games you want to play.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I think one service is enough. Like I already have Nintendo Switch Online, access to like
plenty of games,
retro games. It's like and the DLC for a few games will be expanding. I don't know how I could keep up. If I don't have an Xbox, so I don't have to worry about Game Pass. But like if I did and had that and tried like PlayStation, like I feel like I'd be like missing out like on so many things. I'm like, I would probably feel a little bit guilty. Like man, I have all these games I should be playing, but like that's the eternal problem of the backlog. And now you've just expanded your backlog probably exponentially, and it's like you don't really need that. I personally prefer I'm gonna play something. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna play through it, and then I'll move on to the next thing. I don't like juggling. These services feel like for you juggling multiple games at once,
yes.
And I'm not. Yeah. I'm not. That's not me. I don't generally do that.
So I have Game Pass and PlayStation Premium. I have a lot of games to play.
Right.
I think it can be overwhelming. Like I have so many games just installed that I'm like, I'll play you one day. Like I've had Knights of the Old Republic like installed for like 2 years. I feel like. Just ready to play that game, and I installed like Wild Arms. I'm like, oh, I want to play this, but I'm not gonna get to it. But I have come to the terms of I used to be very much like I'm playing one game at a time and that's it. But now I'm like, I can do 2. I can do maybe 2, 3 if they're super different. Right. Maybe a game you can hop in like a Fortnite, like I can hop in for like an hour and be like, cool, I'm done like that. But yes, it is overwhelming, especially in this age where everything is subscription and everyone's trying to get you to sign up for content. It can be tough, but I think if you gotta stay focused. Like, you guys are staying focused. Sounds like they're staying focused pretty well, too.
Right.
I think that's the key.
I got some people reached out to me, Damiani, and they were like, so you finished Realm Reborn? And again, I haven't seen you and logging in a little bit while you coming back. And it's like, yes, I am. But that's the thing is, I knew there were like 4 more areas that I hadn't done in PowerWash Simulator because it was going to come out early access. Mm-hmm. There's this, this other game I thought was neat. And then I will come back because once I dip my toe back into that, especially going into, the expansions, which I've never, I know so little about. It's not, there will be no need to, spend money on a lot of that other stuff.
Totally.
Until Gotham Knights come out.
All right. Last email is from Greg. Hi, Ellis. A couple days ago, I started playing Dodgeball Academia as it was announced to be leaving Game Pass. It's a cute little game. Mm-hmm. Side note, if Huber hears this, I cannot stress enough how much I think he would like it. Yes, I think he would. But one thing in the language settings that really stood out to me, but there's one thing in the language settings that really stood out to me. I've been learning Japanese for close to 6 years. Nice. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that this game also has a learner mode. This allows you to have the majority of the text on screen be in your chosen language, but you are also able to see translations in other languages of your choosing at the bottom of the screen. So effectively, you can play it in 2 languages simultaneously. The game's base text is in Japanese, but I can see in English in the bottom of the screen, and in case I'm struggling with a certain phrase or come across a word I don't recognize. You can mix and match languages. You can hide the translations you prefer to challenge yourself. The game has a lot of options you can change at any time. I want to shout out this feature as I think it's just a very cool, unique, useful feature for someone like myself.
Yeah.
And ask the panel if there has been any other innovative features that they've seen in games that they'd like to put a spotlight on. Don't necessarily have to be related to languages, Whether you have an answer or not. Thanks for answering. Love and respect, Greg. So some feature, I guess, that stood out to you in games. You're just like, shout out.
Just the historical stuff that they've done with Assassin's Creed, which is already so densely historical.
Yeah.
But it's like that seems so smart given how much work they're already putting into all of these assets. And, I bet there were so many details that they're like, we learned so much about the culture of, Vikings, of ancient Egypt. And, I can imagine developers kind of want to take every person playing and be like, look at this.
Yeah.
You know what that is? There's a reason that's there. And so I am so tempted to check it out, but I haven't. But this, what they've added now in Valhalla, where you are actually going on quests and controlling these other characters. I wonder if that kind of came from what they were doing with Watch Dogs Legion. This idea of like, what if you could just, not have like a ton of crazy abilities and stuff, but just physically embody this person and walk as them. I'm all about immersion in games, and so that sounds really interesting. And just to bounce off what they said, I wish I had something like this in high school when I was like taking like Spanish 3. Yeah. I'd be like, oh yeah, I will totally take this game that I'm playing and put it in a different language that I'm actively studying, just so you can, keep that, hear so many different people say it. And, it's one thing to know a word means another word in a language, another to hear someone native speaker just burn through a sentence super fast. And you're like, wait, whoa, I got a little bit of that. But the more you expose yourself to it, it really helps.
Anything you can think of, Damiani?
I feel like I've seen something. There's nothing tangible is coming to mind at the moment.
Get that photo mode in Stray with an update, man.
Yeah.
Photo modes
are always good.
Yeah. I've seen like a recent trend in games like supporting like colorblind stuff like that, and like just helping out people that have like maybe a disability in some way or something like that. I think that's really sweet. And I'm glad they're kind of expanding upon that.
Because if I'm not going to use it, there's so many things I'm like, I would have never realized that was an issue. Like, a lot of what's been done with people who have epilepsy or who might, be prone to seizures, and, thinking about seeing those moments in games and not being affected by it and not even realizing, that's crazy. That kind of expands, even though, these people have had so many issues with so many games that they wanted to play over the years. It's nice to expand my mind in that way of like all of the things that games can do for better and worse, but all the experiences that we can't have. You've had issues with VR, you've had issues with, first person shooters. And so a lot of that stuff I take for granted. And so it helps increase my experience, even if I don't have to, access a lot of that stuff.
I got two. Just the ability to turn off motion blur and camera shake. Thank you, every game that lets me do that. Dialogue-heavy games that let you hit a button and bring up like the conversation that you missed.
Oh yeah,
and let you go back and reread it and stuff.
That is nice.
Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes does that, and that even lets you like go back to a previous line and like it'll re-VO it for you too. So like you just like hear the character say it again if you like miss something or just want to hear the line again. Yeah, those are always nice.
If you would like to submit a comment or a question to Frame Trap, I put a post up on the Patreon for $5 patrons every week about 2 days before we start shooting this. So usually on a Sunday I'll put it up there. You can write in whatever you want to ask us about. I'll usually put in the game, some of the games we're talking about too now. So if you want to ask questions about those games specifically, please do. But that's it for Frame Trap, boys.
Loved it.
Yeah, it was nice. It was good. Dawn, it was wonderful to have you in there.
Loved it.
Thank you for having me.
Holding it down.
Good to be here.
And Jones, I mean, thanks for coming in, man. It was
a pleasure. Yeah,
nice to catch you.
It'll be rare, but I mean, I was playing. I went through an arc while I was playing PowerWash Simulator. First, I played it for my son, then I played it for myself, and then getting near the end, I was like, This is it. I was thinking about streaming it, but I was like, this is personal for me, and I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to that later. But I was like, oh god, this is the best. I could just see the look on your face, being like, PowerWash Simulator. It's like, that is the reaction that I want. I love bringing a random game to Frame Trap.
Sure was.
Yeah, there were a lot of too many games to talk about, too many games to play. Fun to get updated on all that stuff.
And Damiani,
thank you once again. Yeah, I want to play Rabbids. I got a hunger for Rabbids coming out of it.
It's good, man. It's good. All right. That's going to do it, everybody. We will see you all next time. Goodbye.